1 second.
We're .gov, we're official now. It should have been like that the whole time.
gonna be here in 15 minutes, he said.
Oh, he's gonna be 15, you get to work right out. And he said he's gonna be here like 6:15, 6:20, so we should get started. Joyce, you handle your own. I'm good, I'm just like, it's you need an attorney. Remember how biggest contracts.
So he's got no equipment, so it's like, he's upgraded.
We'll keep it. I think we'll be fine.
All right, okay, good, all right, we good then, we good.
What do you need? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what.
Oh, that's my evidence.
It's evidence.
Corrupt behaviors.
Here we go.
Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, Joe. You can hit the.
Good evening, Agenda Municipal Council meeting, combined meeting, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, 6 p.m. Call to order, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Present.
Councilmember Patil.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Adequate notice?
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, Sentinel, and Desi Talk on November 25th, 2021, and posted in Main Lobby Municipal Complex on that same date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council members, can we review the minutes from the meeting January 24th and January 26th? Are there any questions? Seeing none, reports from all council committees. I will apologize, I will have that done this week. But if Council Vice President, you do have something to report?
Yes, actually, we did meet yesterday. And microphone, Joyce.
Actually, we did meet yesterday, and I would like to thank our Edison Police Department. They've been working along with us and the school system on trying our best to get the amount of crossing guards that are needed for our students to cross safely over the busy highways. And we are still working hard together to improve transportation, and we're trying to improve the school system by some of them having one way in and one way out. Our Edison's finest are helping us out until we kind of alleviate that problem. So we were doing good with that. And we're still in the process of trying to secure the Stelton School. So those are the things we talked about, and we talked about also walkways. We talked about ways for students to cross streets, some ways to light up, and we need bike paths and we need walking paths, because some of the places that we don't have sidewalks. So, and we also spoke with a representative from Pallone's office, Congressman Pallone's office, and they were telling us about the availability of different grants and stuff that, because we're such a big district, that we might be not privy to. And we also discussed the mask mandate. Dealing with the governor, the mask mandate is supposed to be lifted May 7th, and I believe that still is optional. And they also are instituting a safe schools program. And let's see what else we discussed. The school program, the traffic issues, the crossing guards, and, one last thing. They said, but I said that I would have to check with our lawyer to see about some streets when there's a lot of traffic, that can we put down in the morning, like during the hours in which people travel for school, can we say about certain trucks that over a certain ton not be allowed on that street during those hours, just to protect our children? Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Points of light. We have one item on our points of light. The township will be closed on Friday, 2/11, to honor Lincoln's birthday.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Harris.
first of all, I would like to extend the heartfelt condolences to Council President Coyle on the tragic and untimely death of his nephew over this past weekend. Speaking of points of light, it was clear that his nephew was a real point of light in his life. So, Council President, I just want to let you know how sad we all are for you.
Thank you, Councilman Harris.
I also wanted to share that Councilman Pointer and I met with Gloria Dittman of the Edison Art Society on Monday. And boy, they really do some wonderful things. And one of the, and they get funding, that gazebo is going to be opening up in Papiani Park. I don't know exactly when that is, but that is not coming out of any taxpayer funds. One of the initiatives that they're also talking about, which I love, is the electrical boxes that are at intersections and having those painted, with various art designs. You've probably seen them in other towns. And that's one of the initiatives that they're going to start. And the other thing, the last thing that is, really a wonderful idea is that they are going to be instituting the Hometown Heroes program, where they are going, and this is something, Joyce, you might have some information from the veterans.
The veterans said that they want to keep that themselves. They don't want the art society. They
Oh,
told us-
really?
Yeah, the veterans, they want to do that themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they want, because of, they get different calls from different people if different people aren't honored at different times. So they want to keep all that written down and all this stuff in order.
Have they been in contact with Gloria or with the Edison Art Society about that? Because this was just discussed on
no.
Monday.
Yeah, but it had been spoken about prior to this last year, it was spoken about.
Okay. And we're talking about the same thing with flags that would be, that there would be a set
I
of.
know, we try to compartmentalize stuff so that it won't be over the arts, it won't be over the veterans. This will be one group that would be responsible for the different flags and the different signs, street signs and everything, But when we start going over, everybody starts dipping over in other pots, then it gets to be a lot, is what the two guys told me that lead the veterans.
Okay, all right, I'll check back with Gloria. In any case, the Edison Art Society is a terrific asset to this town. They survive on grants, they survive on memberships, and so I urge everybody to check that out. But it was a very enlightening discussion with her. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Harris. Are there any other points of light for any other council members? Seeing none, we'll move to the agenda to item 7 from the Business Administrator. A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Wow.
H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. Are there any, hold on, and we have to go to the next page here. Good, that's it. Are there any discussions for any council members for the items listed below?
Council President,
Yeah, Councilmember Patel.
on Q,
Q.
there are various lots and blocks. This council, if it approves, it council is sending this to the planning board to condemn these properties. I think in Edison Township, we have, give and take 150 to 200 such properties, which really, an eyesore properties with not so good businesses for that neighborhood. So this is a good step in the process, and I would expect more of these properties come on the council agenda. So, we show the progress to the taxpayers of this town that we are doing the right thing for them. Again, this will generate the good revenue for the township. At the same time, will give the good neighborhood experience, good shopping, etc. So again, I welcome this decision, and I would expect the continuing effort throughout the year. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Patel. Are there any other questions for any council members?
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Brescher?
Yes, it was my understanding that we were going to get our agenda on Wednesday. I know we've been trying for a month, many weeks now. We can't seem to get that in. I'd like a commitment by the business administrator and yourself that this is going to happen at the next meeting. And I'll tell you why. I got my council agenda on a Friday. Comes at the end of the day. I woke up Saturday morning. I reviewed my agenda. I had a list of questions that I'll ask here tonight now. And I sent it to the business administrator, and I forget Ray's title, but to Ray also. And subsequently, I didn't get a response. I came down to Town Hall last night to talk to the mayor about other issues. And I reminded Ray that I didn't get this information, and he assured me that I would have it before our meeting. I came here today, and Matt told me he thought Ray was taking care of it. So I sit here blindsided. Now, if there's a way possible for you to get the agenda earlier, right, a councilman would have answers. So I don't see why we can't make it earlier. Kind of willing to overlook. I'd also like to know who I should go to as a one-point person with my questions. Or, so if that answer could be done first, right? Who do I go to for all my questions and let that person be the filter? And then I have questions about all my questions that I had that I gave to the administration.
Rich, I agree with you. We have been working on making sure the agenda comes, and I think the administration was certainly putting their best step forward in their, third council meeting. And I think we're going to get there. I don't want to push to say it's going to happen next meeting, but we did push hard this week. It was almost ready for Thursday morning. There were some discussions you knew you had with the mayor that they added on last minute as well, which still doesn't prove to be a reason to hold it up over one issue. But I agree with you, we are pushing. But just to defend the new administration, they're here a month and a week now. We've been trying, as council colleagues, we've been trying to get this agenda through the other administration for for the last 6 years and still couldn't get it on time. I understand you're struggling, but we're going to get there. It's going to happen.
Council President, my point is that in 2 years of sitting on the council, I've never not gotten an answer to my questions. Now, in fairness, sometimes I have gotten that answer at 3 o'clock before my council meeting, right, which is concerning, but today I didn't get it at all. So I'm saying, who is my point person to deal with this?
To the administration, Matt, are we using Ray now? Who is our point person for the council members?
I'm just going to say, send it to me. I'm publicly apologizing to Councilman Brescher. There's a bit of confusion between some of us. I'll take that blame. I apologize to you. We are working very hard to get these out by Wednesday. Not quite there. I think we will be. I thought that the last time too, but there's a lot of an immense amount of work to go to put these together, this agenda together, especially with all the things that are on here. And so your questions, I apologize. I thought it was just a matter of some confusion. That's really no excuse. We should have gotten that to you. I assure you that when I get those questions, they will be answered in writing. And we'll get better at this. It's just a lot of effort, and we want to be clear.
Right, I understand the confusion because I sent it to both of you, right? So each side is probably thinking the other side's working, working on it.
So do this, Councilman. Just send it to me, okay?
Okay, I'll do that.
And then it's on me completely, and I will take that.
And Matt, is that for all council members just to report
Yes,
to you
just
on-
send it
on
for
the
right
agenda
now. For right
items?
now, just send it to me, and I will handle it.
Council President, I was under the impression that Patrick Coyle was to be the point person.
From what I understand, Patrick Coyle is doing the constituent relations.
Yeah.
If we have a resident who has an issue.
That's right.
So it's a
Okay.
separate, clear?
Okay.
But on questions of the council agenda, send it to me. I will get your answer. I will distribute it. The answer may not come directly from me, but you'll have an answer.
Yes, okay, thank you. Question is on, I'll start off with C. We have a new law firm, and C, right, new law firm for $350,000. That would be the new municipal attorney. The question that I asked of the administration was, what did we approve for that dollar amount last year, and what did we pay the firm from last year? And the reason for that question is if we approved the last firm for 350, but we only paid them 250, maybe that number you could reduce. And also, you might have paid them 400,000, and maybe that number should be higher. But that's why I was asking that question. Do we know what that is, or no?
So these are not to exceed numbers. So they are there to put as required by law, to put a cap. Now, during the course of the year, that may come as more or less. You see that in the bills. So that's what that number is. And in most every case, we did not put any more of a not to exceed than what was put on last year's. Clearly, as not to sound funny, but we're not going to spend any more than we absolutely have to. This just set up so that we we ensure that we have funds available for those expenses. So we set a number that we think it's going to be, and it's generally based on what happened the year before. But the problem is, when we do this, we don't have the end of the year final, what total amount is. So in this case, it's set either the same or less than what it was the year before.
The same or less would be all these numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll tell you my concern. It was the same concern I had last year with a different administration. But what typically happens is, let's say we approve, I don't know, $1 million worth of contracts, right? And then we get a budget in May or March, or in past administration, September, right?
Right.
And there's really nothing we can do with these contracts. The only thing that we're left with is, let's say, not hiring people in DPW or not hiring police officers,
Right.
To control the spending. And where I'm going is, I want our DPW and I want our police, I want them fully staffed, right? And if we have to do anywhere like where we're looking at cutting, it's more like cutting the vendor kind of idea. And that's why I'm kind of just, asking that question, as long as it's the same or less. I'm going to say now the bond counsel, D. Now, the bond counsel, I'm going to assume, is the same rate that the bond counsel we had for last year would be, correct?
Same bond counsel.
Same bond counsel, same rate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Redevelopment attorney. Now, I see that here, that's E, but when I looked in the first attorney, C, what I see is that they do redevelopment. And I don't know, that just might have been a typo, that they're also doing redevelopment, or are we just going to go with the one attorney, which is E for our redevelopment, or are we going to be working with multiple attorneys on the redevelopment?
Well, we always have the option to work with any of the attorneys that you're considering, but what we're trying to do is set aside certain work for those firms that do specialize in this
Specialize.
work. So in this case, bond counsel is the same firm, but it's just a different, you know, it's a different attorney that's within the same firm. But we try and break this out so that there is some structure to how we assign work during the course of the year. And-
Okay, so
and
your intent.
you see that on tonight's agenda where we're working on some redevelopment issues.
Yes.
And this is, you know, it's just a good way to organize it, in my opinion. That's why we did it.
Okay. No, I just was, you know, because I seen the one firm, like they do everything.
Yeah,
you
well,
know, and then the other one I have like a specialized for it, and I'm better with a specialized,
Right.
you know.
Well, we're fortunate that this particular firm has specialties in so many areas, but we still want to designate it and organize it this way.
Okay,
It's a
now.
better way to handle it.
Okay. My next one is, I see we have like some insurance people, I guess that's G and I, risk management and health. And I brought this to the administration's attention, and it just revolves around, I was on the Board of Education, we're paying like an insurance broker $100,000, and to administer all of our insurance was actually very cheap, to be quite honest with you. But when I was on the Board of Education, we were paying $80,000, and the business administrator swore up and down that that's what they did. We brought in another broker. The other broker was honest with us, and he said, "I'm not going to take any money from you." And you know he has to make money. And he sat down and he opened up his books to us and showed us that he was receiving money on the back end from the insurance carriers and from your prescriptions. So he didn't need our $80,000.
I understand.
Subsequently, the superintendent of schools there retook another look at that, and they cut their fees, I think, from $800,000 to like $500,000 or something like that. The insurance broker's happy; he still retains quite a bit of work. The district is happy on the school board because they saved a couple $100,000. And I don't have anything here on our health insurance, and I'd like a guarantee that we will get a like disclosure agreement from the broker and from the insurance company that discloses any and all, you know, maybe additional fees that are paid to them.
You have that assurance.
Thank you. Okay is good. One. I and M, engineers for sewer and water. These are new people that we're bringing in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and not that I'm opposed to that.
Not that we don't like him, but
Well, this is sewer and water, right?
yeah.
So with these, are they brought up to speed as to where we are? And we had an issue in town with the Suez, and we took that on, and we have a goal that we have to fix our sewer and water on a time frame. We approved money for infrastructure repairs, and I just want to know that everybody's kind of on task, that we're maintaining the schedule that we originally brought up.
Yes, sir. We are. We are careful. We are doing a number of things to organize and monitor very, very closely the projects that we need to make, and improvements that are long overdue in this town, and projects that, you know, we are very careful not to let anything slip through the cracks. Reports have been given. We're monitoring that closely. In fact, over the next 2 weeks, we're working. The mayor and I went to Trenton this afternoon and did a lot of work to help us organize these things with the DEP and with funding sources. My hope is certainly during time that I'm here is to get the big issues of infrastructure organized and moving forward. It's never going to be as fast as certainly we need or certainly that we want, but at least it's moving with complete funding, identification, and sourcing. So we have a lot of work, an amazing amount of work to be done on our infrastructure. And we have an opportunity that everybody in this room, I'm sure, is aware of, coming from the federal government. And, you know, I want to make sure that Edison's first in line. I'm tired of hearing about other towns that get first in line. Edison's going to be a first in line. And so we were down pushing that very point today with some of the key people in Trenton. So the thing is that we want to make sure as we pivot our all this work that it's organized. It's not just sitting there. We are doing a host of things to control and make sure that all these projects are organized, running on time. If there's delays, we know why they're delayed, and push it very hard. We're long overdue, and all of you know that. And we're making sure that we're going to have a program to get things done. It's never going to be as fast as we want, but this is what we want to do. And this is the charge that the mayor has put on me with my experience to get this organized. And so it goes back to the issues of the agenda and getting that out. That's important, and I'm trying to do that. But honestly, my focus is a lot on this because we're talking now millions and millions of dollars that we want to take advantage of coming from the federal government. We want to be first in line, and that's what I'm trying to do. This mayor is trying to do that, and I'm helping him.
Thank you. P, Labor Council. Maybe our counselor can answer this one. We have somebody here listed as the Labor Council. Was this the same attorney that I was on a meeting with you, him, the chief, and Maureen?
I believe, if I remember the agenda correctly, Councilman, this deals with Ruderman and Roth and Cleary Jacoby. That's what this resolution is. That is not the firm you were on the phone with.
That's right. I have an issue that I'd like to talk in a closed session if we bring that other attorney back about things that happened that I don't feel comfortable with. But as long as it's not that attorney, then yes, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, no, it's if it ultimately is resolution 121.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that is not the attorney, Councilman.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Council President. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher. Are there any other discussion items from the council members? Seeing none, we'll move to 8 from the Department of Finance, A, B, C, and D. Any questions from the council members? Seeing none, we'll move to 9 from the Department of Health, A. Any questions from the council members?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patil.
you know, I do support this resolution, but just I want to get more details about the dollar amount here. Are we renovating all the toilet rooms or just one section? Because 198,000, which is
Through the chair, this is for, there's 4 bathrooms at the seniors. This is for all of them. This is a long time in coming, you know, we've been several years worth of this. It's being funded by community block development grant funds. The bathrooms themselves are in bad shape. They're not fully handicap accessible. So this will adjust and make them fully compliant, all 4 of them. And if you got there, they don't smell good, they don't look good. Their stall dividers are rusted. They're, you know, long overdue to get what they're getting right now.
Okay, so
It's
this,
been a 2-year process, actually, with community block development.
okay, so this is pretty much is demoing all the 4 bathrooms. That includes the electric, plumbing, everything, you know.
Actually, they're upgrading the ventilation systems,
Ventilation, okay.
new tiles. We're actually doing away with the doors, putting private, there's a privacy wall there to start with, but they're going to improve upon that so we don't have any more touch points. So that there's no more doors to deal with, but and what they'll do is they're going to renovate, since we have 2 of each, renovate one section so that we don't have to shut the center down. So they'll do the front 2 bathrooms first. And once they're fully operational, shut the, effectively put those in play and do the back 2 bathrooms.
All right,
So we won't have to shut down operations, while this work is ongoing.
yeah, so this still 50,000 per bathroom, which is still very high, but I hope, again, I'm not the expert, it's just thinking by home, how much I would spend, maybe
Yeah, this is-
5,000, right?
This is infrastructure as well, too. Like I said, the ventilation, so the ventilation doesn't work right now. So effectively, there's moisture built, this is top to bottom, actually, from the plumbing to the electrical to the HVAC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Yes. go.
Jay, I've been screaming about this for the longest, and I know when people talking about the percentage and the money that they pay for bathrooms and stuff, you got to understand, these are senior citizen bathrooms and these are ADA bathrooms, and the price does go higher than other people. And you have the new type of toilets and stuff now that are very, how can you say,
And they're energy efficient, they're,
yeah, energy
as
efficient,
well
that's
as
what I'm saying.
water
Energy
conservation.
Efficient, and since I've been screaming back and forth, I like to applaud when you do good stuff.
Yeah, it's long overdue.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Yes, in looking at it, I kind of reviewed the bids, right? And I know my council colleagues feel maybe the price is a little high. My concern is that maybe their price is too low when I look at all the bids across. Now, they might be right that it's high, but that could just be in the design of the tile that you picked, whether it's $50 square foot tile or it's $2 square foot tile. And that has a lot to do with cost. My concern is really with the bids, that a lot of the bids here are, 300,000. There's a couple people for like 2.25. And then, so what that did, that just set a little alarm off. So what I did was, I just looked them up online. Their company is Gacos, and they have a picture of a beautiful building night, right? And this is what it says about their company. Analogy, bleach, bright, creamy, fix, futile, garbage, guardian, gypsy, insecurity, kinetic, lucky, mainly, perpetual, place, production, rhyme, unwilling, warning, instruction, lucrative, allergy, anguish, atom bomb, Canadian, clap, crawl, driver, fictional, flux, haunted, insane, inventive, ladies, over noisy, nuke, parrots, psychosis, punishment, remote, stretch, sun, exonophobia, and being area, assuming booze, brazen, calm, clock, fast, facts. Now, I'm not an educator, to be perfectly honest with you, but I did graduate from our school system. So when I seen that low bid and I looked at this, to be quite honest with you, I'm a little hesitant because we had an issue in the town with one of our firehouses where we hired someone that was a low bid. They couldn't do the job. Maybe some of my other council colleagues, and then the town took it over, and we had to finish it. So that's where my concern is. Are we vetting these people?
Councilman, I can tell you that, first of all, we had an architect that was hired by, because it's through community block development, so they've got to follow the federal protocols to do this, so they had an architect that actually, they spec the job, but I will say to the further extent, our purchasing agent put some language in there for the standpoint of the timing and some of the performance things where effectively went back and forth, so they ratcheted down the requirements maybe because of some of the issues that have happened with the firehouses or whatever. So I think between the architect and between what Jeff Marowitz and Laura Popick did, I think we did a good job, or they did a good job of ratcheting this down to make sure that it's timely, in fact, it was less disruptive. We were even down to where they could store their materials. They looked at all the complaints we had from some of the previous jobs, and I think they tightened it up nicely.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that even though they're substantially lower, even though they have a website that I think they made this morning, okay, because that looks like, I don't know what that verbiage is, you feel competent, right, that they're going to get this job done in that timely manner. So I'm going to ask you for a copy of the schedule, right? I'd like to get that. And I'm going to just follow along myself on them.
Yeah, we're, like I said, we need to follow, effectively, we had the professional architect that designed it, we did put the timeline. The timeline is actually part of the bid spec, so we can certainly get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other questions for A?
Oh, no. 9A?
No, that was just for the Department of Health A. Any other questions from council members? Moving to 10 from the Department of Planning and Engineering, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Any questions from council members?
Yes, Council President, I have a question on A, and this goes entirely in the other direction. I looked at the bids again for this contractor, and we had 4 people that bid it, and I assume we send it out to qualified bidders, and we're going with the highest bidder. Now, sometimes you want someone that's a little higher, right? Like I was just advocating before, maybe somebody in the middle, right? But here we went with the highest guy, but then they did an evaluation system on them, and the high guy evaluated at a 23, the second high guy is at a 22, and the low guy is at a 21, as far as understanding that of the project. So I didn't take part in the review process. But with the 21, a 22, and a 23 on the review, can somebody explain why would we be going with the most expensive contractor?
If, Council President?
Matt, do you want
So Triad has been our consultant on this. It's a $35,000 not to exceed. The experience here, and this is really, in terms of contracts, this is a small one that has a specialized review. So at the time, and this actually was done back in November, the sense is to stay the course at this point on this aspect of our CDBG program. Triad's a proven company that's done a lot of work throughout New Jersey, and that's the way we scored it. That, you know, there didn't seem to be a reason to change that was significant enough to change the entire program.
Yeah, because they were more than twice as much as the low bidder that scored very similar. So we're, you know, and like I've said to you probably many times, right? If we could save the $20,000 here and put a basketball hoop in or a net for our children to play on, or this is their money, right? So I'm sure they have a lot of good programs too that they could use the money for. And that's what I believe my job here, you know, is on the council, is to watch over the funds and to make sure that we're not going with the highest bidder, but the most responsible bidder. So yes, I definitely disagree on this one. Thank you.
Any other questions from council members from the Department of Planning and Engineering, A through H? To the administration, I had a question on G. Matt, this contract is to the February 28th. Is it possible, just for the workflow management, that this can be a reoccurring contract unless terminated by the administration on February 28th, so we don't have to go back to the council each time, month to month, with this particular engineer?
That's up to you guys. We're in transition, and we appreciate that the firm is continuing to assist us during this time. If you want it structured that way, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Well, just by design,
I mean, the
we don't have a
project.
we don't have a council meeting on the 28th. We don't have a council meeting until March. There's a gap between the 28th and the next. If you keep them on for another month, there's a gap.
If we need to, yeah, sure. And if you want to change the resolution and reflect that.
Yeah, just if
I
our
have no-
attorney.
You know, we're doing a lot of work, and sometimes, just like the agenda issue, you know, we have cutoff dates and hopefully get the agenda, the intent is to get this agenda to you on Wednesday. Best laid plans are not always successful. We're getting there. Same thing here, we're in transition. You know, we work well with Collier and we asked to continue them for this month of February. If you want to leave that open to have it come to March, through March, and if needed, and not have to come back for council.
Yeah, that's the only question. Just reoccurring unless terminated by the administration on February 28th.
I'm fine with that.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
Appreciate the flexibility, Council President.
Well, it's one less resolution that we'll have to get the clerk to get on. And thank you for that. Is there any other questions from Planning and Engineering? Seeing none, I'll move to Department of Public Works. A through B. A and B. Any questions from the Public Works? Seeing none from our council members, move to Department of Water and Sewer. A.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Teal.
this resolution is rejecting all the bids for the emergency water main break, right? Do we have any vendor who, in case, if you are rejecting everything, do we have anyone in place, through Council President, question to Administrator, who would take care of the water main breaks?
We do.
Oh, the internally it will be taken care?
Yes, we do, Council. Council President, if I have
Director Bob
Mr.
Smith.
Smith respond.
Do we have, P&A is our water emergency contractor, and J. Fletcher Kramer is our sewer contractor. They're still under contract.
So we do have the contractor in place in case of emergency?
Yes.
Okay, so this is for the any other bids, because this is something is saying, do we have the bids before we reject this?
We received the bids. The procurement office did not like the way the bids come in, the way they bid on the contracts. So she's rejecting them and wants to put them out again with clarifications. We got a lot of line items that were bid at a penny. So they were rejected, and we're going to go out and get bids again.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patil. Any questions for 12, Department of Water and Sewer for A? Seeing none, we'll go to from the Chief of the Fire Department, A, B, and C. Any? C is what we're adding. Council members, we did have a grant that came in. We wanted to make sure that we added that to the agenda. Are there any questions for A, B, and C?
Is this for fire?
Fire, yes.
Yes. Matt, in that email that I sent, I mean, I'm here, it looks like the number is a little bit more manageable. They can always come back, for more funding if they need that. But I'd like to see if we could review that to see and take a look at what the purchases were from the prior year.
For the prior year?
Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
And any other questions, Councilman Brescher?
That's it, I'm sorry.
Okay. From the council members, any other questions for 13? Seeing none, we'll move to the Chief of Police. 14, line item A. Any questions from the council members? Seeing none. 15, council member of the Planning Board, Councilman Pointer.
Thank you, Council President. The meeting on the 31st was rescheduled to Monday, February 14th, which my wife is very thrilled about. But yes, so the next meeting is Monday, February 14th. Thank you.
Don't forget to blame Councilman Brescher when he, worked you up to have this wonderful position. Okay, Council Vice President?
I just wanted to ask one question, just slipped by me real quick, about the vehicles. How does that go? It goes to an auction or something? I just was curious about all those vehicles.
I'm
From the
sorry, which,
Chief of Police.
Going back to
the police is-
14,
the Police
Chief
force
of
is
Police.
sitting here. Resolution authorizing abandoned vehicle sale.
right,
How's
they have
that
to be
done?
auctioned. If they have any value, they're auctioned.
Oh,
if they have any value at all.
Deputy Chief, do you want to step in, or it's your call?
I believe all the vehicles through the purchasing department, they run an auction and they auction everything off. So
Yeah, no, I just want to know what day did they let you know what day the auction is on?
I could let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other questions from the council members?
All right, thank you.
For the
Thank you,
planning
Council
board?
President.
Move to 16, unfinished business, ordinance further consideration for public hearing. Comments on 2022. Resolution 20. Any comments?
Council President,
Yes.
you're on the ordinance, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Through Council President, my question is to our engineering firm. We did discuss about this particular cul-de-sac area, township taking over the paving. This is the one, right? Correct. Do you have the stormwater system there installed?
Yes, the stormwater system is installed in that road.
And they are in compliance with the engineering department specs?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just the paving, so nothing else?
Yeah, just paving.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Patil. Discussion items. Can I move from my left? Discussion items, Councilman Pointer.
Thank you, Council President. Just as a general note for the public, when you send us emails, CC two of us and BCC the rest of us, any action that's taken when there's a quorum in the emails in terms of responses, just from a procedural standpoint. And I am in the works of working with my council colleagues in regards to looking at the tree chapter, the tree ordinance. So I look forward to furthering our discussions and making some positive change. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilmember Patil.
None at this time, sir.
Councilmember Patel.
None at this time.
Council Vice President Joyce Ship Freeman.
Well, I would like to mention the Lunar New Year, thankful for that, and this being Black History Month. And there's something else that I would like to discuss, and it is known as depression. And a lot of people have been, it stayed on my mind, especially when the young lady and the child went into the pond. And the fact remains that depression, it seems to plague us right now, and the suicide rate is going sky high. And I just want to let people know that when you go out and you troll people and you just say the meanest things to them and can't wait to get on social media when you get up to tear another person down, you don't know what battles they're going through. You don't know who they've lost. You don't know how their life is connected, and I'm just like, to me, I'm very, very, very disgusted and disappointed that you would spend that much time hurting an individual so much that they would take their own life. So all I'm asking for people, and as far as mental health, and we going with this pandemic, please stop it already. It's not nice. These people cannot take it. There's a whole lot of strain on them. A lot of people, they don't know where their next meal is coming from. The food is going up like crazy. They can't get to their job. The gas is super high. And the first thing you do when you get up, you go up and you start making up stories about people and saying stuff and twisting stuff and saying all kind of mean stuff. I don't think that's nice at all. I think we all need to do better about this. And that's my main point that I'm saying about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilwoman Harris.
None, sir.
Okay, and now go Councilman Brescher.
Yes, I have a couple things here. I'd like to see if we can get an update on the flooding. Kevin, did we get the administration, like a global number on what these areas might take to fix so that they could, make a determination as to what road they want to go down?
No, not yet. We haven't been authorized to do the studies yet to determine that.
Okay, well, I'll tell you why, because I did sit in a meeting, right? We did sit in a meeting, and you were going to present a proposal to the administration for you to do a study to come up with a design, right, for what it would take to fix it. And what I asked for, right, I don't know if the administration's asked you, I mean, I would hope they would, but was an order of magnitude. And I'll give you an example, and it's not real complicated. We need to upgrade certain piping over by Glenville, I think it is. And the question is this a $10 fix? Is this a $1 billion fix? Or whereabout in the middle would this fix be? And let me tell you where I go with this. It's pretty much a simple question. My belief is you would end up having to tell me it's going to be between $1 and $4 million, depending on if we go all the way to Papanani Park. Okay. There's one house that floods, right? So for us to pay your firm, let's say $50,000 to do a study to tell us that it's going to cost $1 million or $4 million, when an option is that we could purchase the home with like Green Acres or Blue Acres grant money for whatever, $400,000 or whatever it's worth, right? It's a lot less than the $1 to $4 million. So that's why I was asking for that order of magnitude. Like typically if you ask me to come and build you a home, right? You give me a general order of magnitude before I would come up with drawings or specifications for $50 square foot tile or whatever else I'm coming up with. So how do you expect the administration, without having that general idea, to tell your firm, let's move forward with a $50,000 study or whatever that may be? Is there a way that anybody in your firm, right? Because I've asked this of you, is there a way of anybody in your firm to give us that order of magnitude type number?
Not really, because it'll vary greatly depending on what the issues are and what the possible fixes are. And it would depend if those fixes are permittable by the DEP, because that whole system goes from Glenville all the way to Route 27, eventually to Papiani Lake, which is all regulated by the state. So there's a lot of factors that get played into whether or not you could fix the system by maybe upgrading the pipes is one option, but then would DEP allow you to do that? Because now you're sending floodwaters further downstream. Another option may be to build a basin somewhere in that neighborhood.
Right. No, absolutely. So
there's a lot of
right, and where I'm going with it is so basically, you have no clue, and your firm, the engineering firm, has no clue whether it's $10 or $1 billion.
To give you a ballpark number, I would say you're not going to spend less than $500,000. You probably wouldn't spend more than a few million.
Well, now you see that kind of statement right there. That is exactly the type of information that the administration would need to determine whether they should move forward with spending $50,000 for a study or just buy someone's home, right? And use it for Green Acres that backs up to a school and allows children to pass through the neighborhoods. And the reason why I say this is I've been asking for this for months, right? And it's not this administration. This is past administration, right? So I'm up to 2 now. And there was a poor woman who came in here. She can't live in her home. Got flooded. You know what I mean? And we're not moving the ball forward. And I can't bother like Matt with this, because without that information, I don't see how he can make an educated decision. And I see this woman never being put in because I've asked the same question for months and I can't get an answer.
Also, another thing to understand, though, this system impacts all the way downstream from her as well. She's at the very end of the system on Glenville. The rest of the system going through the Colfax, Sturgis area, all the way to Route 27 is the whole area, drainage study area we're looking at. So
right. But that had no homes that were flooded. The roads got flooded, like my road got flooded, right? But if the homes don't get flooded, that's another story in these 1 in 1,000-year storms.
the impacts that there is flooding in some of the backyards and along some of those streets, the impact of that is something that we would look to study and determine whether or not it's worth upgrading the systems individually in each of those streets or the backyards. It's hard to say. That's why the cost could vary greatly.
Okay, right. I was just looking for that order of magnitude so they can make a decision, because I see us moving nowhere with this. I see it as stop dead. I see a lady that her house is flooded. I don't even know what to tell her at this point. Is there a solution?
For that specific location,
We should just pay you whatever, what was your fee for that?
well, we sent the proposal and it included 4 areas. So to break out that specific location, I had to go back and look at our numbers, but it was for 4 locations. We were going to do similar type studies.
Okay, Matt, can you put this on the agenda so we can talk about this also, please? Next question for our deputy chief. We had an area on Talmadge Road where the residents had issues with speeding and pulling out and this and that. And you guys did a great job with traffic, right? You put some signs up, kind of slowing people down and stuff. But they were looking at getting a crosswalk, so the students and the children and adults can cross Talmadge Road, in that midsection safely. But we were told that the police department needed to have a study on that or something. I was wondering if you might have an update on that, or are we looking at it?
Oh, yeah, I'll consult with the traffic unit. We have to do a traffic study before we make any changes with the roadways and go through the proper channels. But I can get back to you on that.
All right, thank you.
All right, sir.
And to our attorney, would you have an update on the road that goes to the water that somebody claims is theirs, that we claim is ours? And then we had an issue with a resident that gets woken up every morning at 4 or 5 a.m. because of noise, because of a warehouse. There were 2 legal issues. I think we were at the course with them.
In terms of the warehouse, that was, my understanding is that was with PD and with zoning maybe. I don't know if there's any legal action that we're.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
no, wait, Councilman, you're absolutely right. I don't have the answer. Yeah, it was about municipal court and the status of it. I'll send a text to the prosecutor while we're sitting here and see if I can get an update. I haven't gotten an update. It was supposed to be heard, if I remember correctly, a couple Fridays ago. I'm sorry, Councilman, I just forgot to follow up on that. But you're right, no, that is entirely with me. It's not with anybody else. As to the gate issue, that is in litigation. We have been exchanging discovery. We have actually tapped some of the unpaid resources that are available to us here in the township in the figure of the environmental chairman, who has assisted us with a lot of information he has available. And other than that, it's in litigation, so I don't know that I want to comment much publicly on it, but it's in process, and we will, we're moving as quickly as we can. But it's litigation. It's never fast, as you're aware.
No, I just want to, keep up and.
Yeah,
just
no,
keep
we're
getting
moving it.
these
We're moving
updates.
it. Yeah, there was actually quite a flurry of information we were providing, and waiting for their responses, which should be shortly.
All right, thank you.
And I'll send that text right now, but I'm very sorry for not following up sooner.
Thank you. The other thing is, I guess, well, to people that don't watch Facebook, it's probably a good thing. To people that do watch Facebook, I'd just like to explain what I'm proposing to put up today, which is a word system. And what happened was, I guess, when I first got on the dais, I did a lot of reading, had to take classes where they told me what my job was. My job was dictated to look over funding, question the funds that are being spent through the administration, and look over their budget, and create laws for the public. My job was not to administer. My job was not to fill potholes. My job was not to take care of any of your local issues. And if anybody goes back to my first council meeting, you'll see that I said that at that council meeting. And what I learned over my last 2 years is that the public does not feel the same way. Okay, that is very obvious. We get asked quite a bit to help with issues in the area. And during that, there was an issue, I would say it was the Sutton's Lane Bridge. I was driving down there to go visit someone. I hit a crater that I thought I lost the whole control arm of the car. And then I asked some residents about it when I was down there, and they told me that that issue was there for like 8 years. Subsequently, then I went to the administration. I sat with Maureen. I met with the engineers. We went out there, and they said, we can do a quick fix, right? Fill some potholes for you, or we can take care of the whole thing and take care of drainage and everything else. And the administration moved forward with that, and they redid the drainage. They did the sidewalk, and it was a great thing. But at that point, I realized that I didn't know that area of town. Had I, when I was on the council that first month or so, that would have been an issue for me. So then I started talking to people around town during my first year, and we talked about a ward system. And everybody told me how it brings the representation down to your local government. And I thought that that was a good idea. And then my second year on council, for an entire year, I worked with our mayor and Councilman Patil and Bill to draft up a ward ordinance. So this ward ordinance, for me, has been a minimum of a 2-year process, right? This isn't something that I came up with yesterday. I know that people might say it's a distraction. To me, I've been here in Edison 50-something years, and I think it's a better form of government for us. A better form of representation is where I go with it. It has no bearing on the mayor or the administration. It really has bearing and merit on a local level. And it gives you those council people that will look at all of those issues in your area because they're familiar with it. I go to Stop and Shop all the time, so I'm pretty familiar with that whole area. I drive by all the time. And that's the importance of a ward system. It's just a type of government. Has no bearing or reflection on who the mayor is or how good the mayor is or how bad the mayor is. You have a good mayor, you got a pretty good town. But the mayor isn't around everywhere in the town, and neither are all the council people. I mean, that's obvious. Some of the largest towns around have ward systems, and that's why. It's so that those issues can be brought to light. I've heard things about committee people. To be honest with you, I'm a committee person, for years. In fact, I'm a committee person, and I'll tell you this. I had flooding in front of my home on Grove Avenue. I came and stood right at that podium like everybody out here does, and I complained for 8 years. For 8 years as a committee person. And when the people on this dais would come to me and ask me for their support, I would ask them to take care of my flooding issues. And they told me they would, and it didn't happen. It finally did happen when our DPW workers and director took a walk, and we walked through the ravines, and we actually found a blockage. And then Grove Avenue wasn't flooding again, and it was a great thing. Before that, it was like, oh, it always happens. It didn't happen. I grew up on that street since the 1960s. So to me, it is a good form of government. It is something that I'm bringing up today. I hope to have a second, and I hope to have the votes to see it pass so that it would go up for a vote. If not, I have heard from the people. I said there's different types of elected people in my mind. You have the type that will, how should I say, they want to lead, and the others are the ones that want to listen. I am not here to be your perpetual leader and tell you what is best for you. I'm here to hear what you believe is best for you. The mayor is in a separate boat, right? He needs to maintain the township at a level, and he does need leadership there, okay? But the council, we're here to listen to you. And what I heard was, I believe that we need a ward system. And a lot of you are the people out there are the ones that convinced me that we needed it. This was not my brainchild that I came up with. I found out that in this township, they've been fighting for a ward system many times before. So with that, I'd like to see if we can put the ward system up for a vote here today. And if I can get a second for that.
Just to be clear, so that we can have the vote, Councilman, your motion is to move the ordinance that had previously been drafted and circulated among council, and you're asking for a second to introduce that ordinance this evening.
Yes, that's correct.
That's, okay. I just want to be clear what the process was. Thank you.
Do you want to call your motion, Councilman Brescher?
Yes, yes, I'd like to propose a motion to put a word system up on our agenda here.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
I got a motion
I
from
don't
Councilman
have
Be
Brescher
clear,
before.
yeah, just to be clear, the clerk just raised an issue. Just to be clear, the motion is to add the
Add it to the
ward
agenda.
ordinance as drafted and circulated among council 2 meetings ago, to add to the agenda this evening. That's the motion, and now you're looking for a second, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I second it for the fact that when we discussed this ordinance last year, we had some mini debate here and we discussed this ward system several times. And honestly, I'm also a proponent. I also believe the representation is very important. We have seen the changing dynamics on the council. Sometimes we get too many people from the north end, too many, sometimes, now we can see we have 4 people from the Clara Barton and technically none from the south end. And this has been the situation probably for more than a decade and a half now. So some point in time, this has to be changed. We need the representation across the town. And not only the representation, this will also allow this body to be expanded. There will be more people who would look at their neighborhood. And I think this is a good idea. Again, this is my personal opinion. I haven't yet spoken publicly about this, but I feel this is a good idea, and that's why I'm seconding this ordinance. Thank you, Council President.
Teal.
Council President?
We're going to do a roll call.
Okay.
You don't want to do
I'll talk when I do the
Uh,
vote.
We do a roll call? Councilwoman George Freeman, I'm not stopping you from commenting.
No, I'll comment when I
Wanna finish?
answer.
Okay.
I'll comment when I answer.
Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Okay. Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
No.
You're
I'm sorry.
double
I got
no.
the wrong tabby I grabbed.
I'm
Councilmember
usually the
Brescher.
tiebreaker. You just ruined it for me.
Councilmember Harris.
No.
Councilmember Patel.
No.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Pointer, no.
Pointer, no. Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Before I give you my answer, I would like to say that I'm looking at it back and forth, and I hear Councilman Mattil, but I don't know. Like, when people have 2 different addresses, like he has property on both sides of town, so I wouldn't know which one he would use for the ward system. And number 2, I, in Councilman Brescher's neighborhood, went all the way down there and took away all the problems that were right there in his neighborhood. So I believe that on this council, that you represent everybody. And I don't know what side of town that I have not been on or recognized or whatever. Shame on people who don't know all the different parts of Edison. Shame on them, okay? Because I've been here and I've graduated. I've seen people, they've left here, they left town, and they've come back. All right, so what I'm telling you is, if you are an actual council person, you should be representing this whole town. And number 3, I would like to know that within our committee system, because my aunt and my uncle and them belong to that, the committee people who actually were genuine and came forth with stuff, with problems they had for the community, they were taken care of. Some things you can't take care of overnight. County roads, different things you can't take care of overnight. Everybody thinks that they're gonna get a quick fix. It's not a quick fix. When I went down there and I took care of trucking problems, different problems for people, you know what? I went every single day, every day until it was taken care of. Some people feel like this, that, and I always remember what my grandmother told me, if you can't be faithful over a few things, as being a committee person, you can't be faithful over that. So now, your Edison Democratic Organization, you can't take care of that properly, so now I'm supposed to promote you to a ward system to move you up to a higher place,
when you can't even handle something that's a smaller thing. And I have issues with that. So anybody can give me, I want to know answers from people. I don't want to say, when I say, why are tomatoes red, you tell me the corn is green and give me a whole lot of side stuff. I need you to give me 10 good reasons why the EDO is not functioning like it should within there, committee people are not functioning like they should, and why I should give you an award. And that's why my vote is no.
Thank you, Council. Vice President.
Council President Coyle.
Councilmember Harris.
We did her. I went
her, okay.
back. Yes, I went back down to you because you're the council
Thank
president. I had to
you.
run
Wait,
to
I
Abby.
just want to give a quick statement. First, in my opinion, creating a ward system is an unnecessary divide of the township, creating divisions and competition between residents and neighborhoods. In my opinion, creating wards can lead to council members being responsible to only their ward residents and not the township as a whole. If you do not believe that is true, then converse that an at-large council member being unable to represent the entire town isn't true. This would create unnecessary elections that would be costly. The ward system create competition among council members and leads to more expensive government. Look how Congress horse trades to get budgets passed. More goodies that have been given out to make a consensus. Mr. Blasher believes that the southern portion of the town is not represented. Okay, I disagree. Okay, first look at Honorable Councilwoman Joyce Freeman is from Bottomtown, which is the south portion of the township. Edison High School, excuse me. Edison High School is the high school that students from the south area of the township attend. The high schoolers from Clare Barton attend Edison High School. Mr. Brescia needs just a quick history lesson of the southern section of the township. Just look at our past history here of council people that have been on this board here. Esteemed council person Andrew Orlando from the south end, Sid Frankel from the south end, Darther Joel from the south end of the southern part of this town, Commissioner Charlie Tamaro from the southern area of this town, Council Member Wayne Muscola from the southern portion of this town, Bill Stevens from the southern portion of this town, Sal Peasy from the southern portion of this town, Raymond Copperotz, John Hogan, okay, and others. We've had representation in the past and will continue to have that. What I think the portion of Mr. Brescher's issue is how active council members are. And some have a role diving into the finances, some have a role being active on the streets, in communities and in neighborhoods. So this council has recently been reelected, 3 members on this council. I believe we should give them a shot. We have a new mayor here that's literally on his less than 45 days in office. It's important we give them a try. This has been considered 12 years ago and failed, and again it failed. Since then, we had numerous council members on this board, and no one brought up wards ever again. So this is just part of some things, okay? And whereas on this dais, we swore an oath to represent everyone in the entire township. Each council member here today represents the entire town, the northern part, the southern part, the east part, and the west part. Give us all a fair chance to continue our work. Thank you. And my vote is no.
Motion fails.
Sir, you'll have an opportunity to speak. Do not speak out of turn. Thank you.
Yeah. And I just want to, just for discussion items for myself, I just want to discuss from the council president here. Joyce and I had a chance to meet on the southern end of town with Sonny's Meat Market, discuss some beautification opportunities. We had a great discussion with Sonny there, and he would love to see some improvements there. We've shared those improvements with the mayor. We've also in the past with several council members, we discussed improving Papiani Park and having some trees cleaned up there and hopefully an entire park plan as well. We also discussed with the mayor about Swales Park and what can be done there. In addition to that, Joyce and I discussed the Silver Lake area, that intersection, which was adopted by this council from the county about a year ago, which is by the Tex-Mex area and the old Craig's Deli. So hopefully we're going to have an opportunity for the mayor to review and make decisions on making that area beautification project. I have no further comments. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will move on to the meeting, right? Okay. Council members, we'll move on to the regular meeting. We'll start with 18, and we'll need an approval of the minutes from the work session January 24th and January 26th. Do I have a motion from a council member?
Motion move to approve this.
Councilman Patil, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Harris. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, none opposed. Thank you. Council President remarks. I'm going to put a hold on that for a moment. Just go to unfinished business. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance accepting dedication of the roadway formerly known as 100 and 106 Ethel Road, Block 20, lots 4F and 4M associated with application P5129 and now known as Plunge Court, and authorizing an agreement between the township and DCK Developers LLC in connection therewith.
Public comments on the resolution only? No, on the ordinance only. Maria?
Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson. My only question under 7Q, what is the address? It mentions the block and lot numbers, but I don't see the address. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Mr. Christo? It's 100 and
Council
106
President, there is an
Ethel Road.
address 100 to 106 Ethel Road.
It's on Ethel Road, 100, 106 Ethel
Yeah.
Road.
Ethel Road.
Okay. The answer's been given. Fantastic. Thank you. Mr. Christo?
South Edison, the real South Edison, Councilman Coyle.
Okay.
So, 02134, the only one on
No,
there?
sir, this is only the ordinance. This is a public hearing on the ordinance.
Yeah,
you
that's,
have-
that's what I'm asking, 02134 or,
It's for the
Oh, I
road,
see it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
it's for the road adoption.
Ordinance dot 2134, sorry.
2134. Okay, yeah, they're both the same. I'm against this ordinance, for the simple reason, since this new council came in here, you guys have been doing a lot of funny stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even fully read this ordinance, but I don't have to, Councilman Coyle. You guys have been doing so much funny stuff that it's just safe to say I'm against this, and that's it. And you guys are all corrupt, and I'm against this.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments from the public on the ordinance only?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. We have a motion to close the public portion for this ordinance. We have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, we need to move this ordinance for the,
Okay.
yeah.
I move this ordinance.
I move this
Motion-
ordinance
I'm
for,
sorry. Motion to adopt.
motion to adopt.
Do you have
Second.
a second?
Second.
John Pointer?
Roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. Next, we're going to have comments on the, public comments on the resolution only. I see some new people in the audience here. You're certainly going to be heard. This particular time, you can only speak on the ordinance, the resolutions as forward, you see below, but there'll be a public time to speak right after this as well. So just if you're new here, you'll have a chance to speak. So again, public comments on the resolutions only. We doing the list here or no? Okay. Mr. Christo? Christo, go ahead.
All right, so this resolution, I believe, is RO92, resolution accepting quote and awarding contract to Goksu Construction. We'll just say it's $200,000. So $200,000 for this company. It seems to me somebody just created this website, just like Councilman Brescher said, somebody created this website last night. When they talk about communications, leadership, and safety, they can't even properly spell safety. Are you kidding me? When you go to check out previous projects, let's check out some of their previous projects. Oh, you see that? What's that new BA's name? Matt? Oh, you see that, Matt? They're not even construction projects. It looks like someone Googled a bunch of random photos, put it on their website, and then started smoking crack. And I'd call this hippie crack poetry. That's what it looks like to me. Let me read some of this. Absolutely disgusting. And you read the nice one, Councilman Brescher. You didn't even go to the sexually explicit one. Analogy, bleach, bright, creamy, fix, futile, garbage, guardian, gypsy, insecurity, kinetic. That doesn't sound like a project to me. Deficit, forgotten, grand, sensual, sexy, whim, wreckage. I just won't even continue reading anymore, Councilman Brescher, because we have children watching and it's very graphic. It's absolutely disgusting. When you go and you see, now let's go see some more things. People that are watching this, goksu-dev.com. Anyone watching live at home can go to this and see exactly what I'm talking about. How much time left do I have, Marlena? How much? 3 minutes. Okay. Check out so they're telling us to check out their previous projects. They have no projects. It's a company out in Sparta. So when you go and you look at Goksu Construction, okay, this whole website is a generic page. The whole page is generic. It's a website app that's telling you what to fill in. These people are so lazy that they didn't even fill it in yet with their own company yet. The website claims it's been around since 2018. Somebody should really investigate to see when this website was made. And I'll bet it was made yesterday. I'll bet it was made last week by one of Sam Joshi's people, that you guys are all getting paid Sam Joshi's ticket. Council President Coyle, you're the council president. You should have. How did something like this make it on the agenda? Did you even research to see who we're putting on the agenda? This is absolutely disgusting. Are you guys gonna actually vote for these hippies on crack that don't even know how to make a website, much less run a construction company? Councilman Patel, did you check out this website? Councilman Patel, did you check out this website?
The Council President, I just want to cut this conversation short. I understand that, Mr. Christo, you are against this resolution. However, this council has done the due diligence. We did ask questions to the appropriate authority, and as long as there is an assurance that the work will be done as per the specs, I think, I don't know what else this council can say.
I mean, I can have somebody come here and do the job for half the price. $200,000 for a bathroom in a senior center. And I heard what you said, Councilman Ship Freeman. It has to be accessible to disabled people, but it still doesn't rise up to $200,000. We can't even build the school out here, but we want to pay $200,000 for a porta potty, a glorified porta potty.
Four bathrooms.
Four glorified porta
handicap
potties.
accessible bathrooms.
Councilman Brescher, are these Trump-type bathrooms where we got gold-plated everything, diamonds?
We're talking about seniors that way.
Disrespect? It's not disrespect to be a watchdog. It's disrespectful to break Robert's Rules of Order and interrupt me when I have the floor speaking. I don't interrupt you when you have the floor. Absolutely disgusting. Council President, you're the Council President. You should take lead and do something about this. She's acting disorderly. She's acting disrespectful. She's been making comments this whole meeting that I believe were directed at me. Would you consider calling someone an educated Christo?
You can continue, Christo. You're
Oh,
fine.
okay,
Continue
okay,
speaking.
please don't interrupt me. Thank you, Joyce. I would appreciate that. So I understand you might be getting some money under the table, but no need to disrespect
Sir,
me.
you're asking for respect, you should give respect.
I don't need respect. I need you to respect my civil rights. Keep your
I'm
mouth shut.
respecting your
Keep
civil
your mouth
rights.
shut.
Do not
Council
talk to
President,
me
tell
that
him to
way and
shut
do
his
not
mouth.
talk to the
Tell
council
him
this
to
way.
shut his damn mouth.
You should not be
North
talking
Reef,
to
shut
council.
your damn mouth. I have the
I
floor.
hear you, sir. You
Shut
don't
your
need
mouth.
to yell. I
Shut
hear
your
you.
mouth.
I hear you.
Shut your mouth. If
Okay.
you hear me, then shut your mouth.
Chris,
Okay.
Okay,
Christo,
why does he
go.
continue opening his
Council
mouth?
President,
we're gonna end this.
you know,
You
Is that
continue
why
your
we're
time.
hiring a new lawyer?
Chris, so you can
that-
continue your time.
How much
Continue
time
your
do I
time.
have left, Marlena?
Councilman Patil, do
I
you want
love
to say
you,
something?
Marlena. You're such a sweetheart.
Okay, your time is in. Thank you, Christo. Any other members of the public on the resolutions only? Okay, please.
Nick Fagan, 42 Edgewood. Thank you, Council President. I had just a question about, and understand that you don't have to answer, but I would appreciate if somebody could explain a little bit more about Resolution 106, Collier's Engineering and Design, until the end of the month. I understand you also brought it up that you want to make it longer. If you could also let us know what you changed it to officially, in terms of how you rewrote it. And then also, what are we transitioning from and to? Are we transitioning the sewer and water? Or, because Collier's also then got awarded something else in the, so I'm just a little confused as what we're transitioning out of and into. If you could clarify that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll get to those questions after they've meet at the end of the comments. Can you hold that, Matt, for later the three? Okay. Any other questions from, sure, please come up.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle. I'm just questioning the last resolution, R122022-022, and it's investigating to determine redevelopment. Now, I did see the addresses. It's on Route 27. Can you be more specific? I'm not sure of that area of town. So, do you know
There's
a
a few
better
blighted
foot?
properties.
I'm sorry?
There's a few blighted properties on 27.
And what's,
One is the abandoned diner across street from the Pines Manor.
okay.
And if you continue down the left-hand side, the convenience store, you'll note that was remodeled directly across street. I think Jelly Elliott would know that since like 1990, there were about 4 abandoned cars next to a blue house. They finally moved the cars, but that home has been abandoned there. So it's that home right there, and then there's 2 other properties. I'd have to Google them right now.
Okay, so they're in need of redevelopment. Where does that go from
In the old,
the
the
study?
the corner of Plainfield Avenue, where the abandoned gas station was cleaned up, but never
On the
anything
same
done
side
there.
as
Right next to
Burger
Burger
King?
King,
Okay.
and then abandoned furniture place, and the 4th one,
The acupuncture.
the acupuncture location next to the abandoned diner.
By Sturgis?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you go in, I'm just looking for explanations to understand the process. So you'll go in and do a study in need of redevelopment. What is the process for that?
Bill?
It goes to the planning board. What would be next? They would go in and say, yes, we need, but aren't those properties owned by someone?
They are. What the process is this gets referred over to the planning board as required by statute. That just authorizes them to do a study. A planner will then perform a study, prepare a map showing what the area is, and then investigate the conditions in the area. There are A through G, I don't know if that's 8 or 9, different criteria that will be looked at, whether the building is obsolete, whether it is, been abandoned, whether, a whole series of criteria. If the building meets one of those criteria, or if the improvements on the property, or in a very limited circumstance, if there's no improvements on property, that could also qualify. But generally, this would be an investigation as to whether those criteria have been met. If they are, the planning board will adopt a resolution recommending this council consider adopting it as an area in need of redevelopment. And then that decision comes back to this council, whether to ratify that recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on the consent resolutions? Please come up. This is for the resolutions only? There's also, and there's time to speak after this as well, just,
Has nothing to do with that, other than I have people contacting me about Edison TV Live. Is it not working?
Right now, but not Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
It's on the website stating that it's on YouTube.
Okay, I'll let them know, thank you.
any other comments on the consent agenda, the resolutions only? Please come up.
Ellen Arthur, 155 Michelle Circle. This is a quick question. Resolution number.
One more time, I'm sorry. I know you're on a, you're,
Oh.
what address do you have, real quick?
155 Michelle Circle.
Michelle, sir,
Okay.
555
This
Michelle.
is just a quick question. Number 14 from the Chief of Police. This resolution authorizing abandoned vehicle sale, is that a public auction?
Yes.
Okay, and how is the public notified?
I believe there's an article published in the newspaper giving the time, the date, and I believe the items to be, you have it better, Councilwoman?
I have it for you.
Okay, there you go.
February 23rd, 11 a.m. in the council chamber, right here.
Okay,
You got that?
got it.
All right.
Thank you. Any other comments on the resolutions only? Okay, thank you. We have a motion to close the public portion for resolutions.
Motion to close the public portion for these resolutions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, council members.
If I can, before you go to just 106, if I understood,
We're gonna do a separate vote for that.
we need to amend the resolution, and I guess there probably should be a vote.
We're gonna pull
No,
for a separate
yeah.
vote.
You're going to pull it for a separate vote. Okay, okay, then I'll leave, then we'll leave it pulled, and I'll explain it before. Okay.
Council President, you will be amending the date and the amount, right, both?
I'm sorry, repeat.
For 106, there will be change in the date as well as the amount, right?
We're just doing a month-to-month reoccurring unless
Oh, month to
otherwise,
month, okay.
unless otherwise terminated by the administration by formal communication.
No, because it says not to exceed, even if you say month to month, I don't know, it is per month charge,
It would, what the amendment would be is not to exceed 15,000 per month.
per month, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll include that in there. Okay. The council members, from my right, Councilman Brescher, anything to be pulled from the consent agenda?
093, that was the one with the high bidder, I believe.
Okay.
Well, 92, I had assurances that they're good. So really, 093, the high bidder is the one I have an issue with.
And any, okay, thank you, Councilman Brescher. Councilman Harris?
None, sir.
Council Vice President Tricia Freeman?
None, sir.
Councilmember Patel?
No.
Councilmember Patil?
None, sir.
Councilmember John Pointer?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. I had one to pull, which is 106 for a separate vote. Let's just first have a motion to adopt the consent agenda with excluding 106
And 93.
and 93. I'm sorry, Mr. Brescher.
Then
93 and
move to
106.
approve the consent agenda except RO93 and RO106.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Harris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. We're going to do the 106 separate. Do Rich's first, I'm sorry. 093, a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Councilmember Patil.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Georgia Freeman. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. And we're making an amendment to 106. The amendment, I'm just going to clarify before the counselor. This is, 106 is a contract for $15,000 per month. It's to be month-to-month reoccurring unless otherwise terminated by the administration by formal communication. Is that fair, Mr.
Yep.
Counselor? Okay, motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
Do we have a deadline as to when
Okay,
it's
repeat it one more time?
Do we have a deadline as to when it will go till? Like, is it the
It's
whole
just
year?
month-to-month reoccurring unless terminated by the administration. They may terminate on February 28th, but they don't have to come back to the council to continue March if they chose to. The MAC can just give them a formal communication and terminate their contract on the 28th.
Put it for the end of the year so that way we can get to revote it?
Okay, to the end of the year, okay, fine. Clarify one more time, it'll be month-to-month reoccurring unless, for the year, month-to-month to the end of the year, reoccurring unless otherwise terminated by the administration, and it is a $15,000 contract.
Council President, can I ask you a question? Do resolutions go past a year?
No.
No. So you don't even need that line, do you?
Well, he made a good point, so it's,
I mean, you can, right, you
Usually
can
they
add
get a year
anything you want,
contract.
but I mean, I'm just saying, ordinances last a lifetime. Resolutions are only through the calendar year, correct? Or is it a year from that date?
month-to-month covers it. I just felt we should just put it, he asked, I put it in there.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt.
There's no harm in putting it in, there's no confusion. If there was a question in the future as to, whatever, it's not going to invalidate the resolution, so if it makes council comfortable, it's okay to put it in.
Councilman,
You're correct, though, Councilman.
Yes.
Yeah. If you do an ordinance, you still can change your ordinance.
You can. Councilman Brescher's point is that resolutions technically expire at the end of each calendar year.
Okay. I'm going to repeat this one more time because we added, we're adopting, we're going to motion to adopt 106. It's a 12-month, month-to-month agreement for $15,000 per month, reoccurring unless otherwise terminated by the administration by formal communication. Do you have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Councilman Harris,
Seconded.
second by Councilman Patil. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes.
Council President, can I
Yes.
take a moment?
Absolutely.
I just want to take the opportunity at this time first to thank you for voting for our contract to continue to serve Edison this evening. I want to thank you secondly for the opportunity to have served Edison for the past 8+ years. This council, other councils that came before you, I want to thank Mayor Lankian and Maureen Ruan for the opportunity to work with them for 8 years. It has been a real pleasure. I know we've sometimes battled it out, but we've also understood each other, and I think I tried to always be respectful. I think everyone in the room has been respectful, and I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I will be seeing you from time to time, but I will not be sitting in this chair. And I can tell you there's a certain amount of comfort in that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to work with all of you. Thank
We'll
you.
certainly miss you, sir. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, Bill, for your hard work and your firm bringing things to our attention. Any other comments?
Council President?
Yes,
I
Councilman.
would like to thank you, Bill, your guidance, your support, your motivation, mentorship. I can go on. You are always available, regardless of, the public optics here, but you are very helpful to this council to navigate through various difficult situations. I really commend and appreciate your work on this dais. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, any other comments, council members? Thank you.
I thank you so much for guiding me through my first year. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the opportunity.
okay. Yeah, they're, please, Ms. Christo, please. They're, so moving forward, oral, we're just move to oral petition, which is right here. That's what's added, okay. Oral petition remarks, open to the public. Our first person on here is Maria Orchard.
Thank you. Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson. On February 12th, please join us to welcome the Chinese New Year's celebrate at the main library, 10 a.m. February 14th, happy St. Valentine's Day and love to all. February 19th, from between the hours of 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., we're doing a clothing drive. It'll be at Cypress Brewery, 30 Nixon Lane, and these would be fundraisers to help beautiful Edison. We need the community's input to let us know how you would like us to help beautiful Edison. traffic along Amboy Avenue, Jackson Avenue, all around the schools are at a horrendous condition. It's very difficult to drop off your child in the morning with the congestion, as well as pick them up at the end of the day. So I look for a traffic study on Jackson so we can alleviate this. There'll be more buildings going up in that area, and it is very dangerous as it is. Last Friday, due to the bad nature and the rainstorms, it was very difficult for the buses, the trucks, and the cars to get through. Bus stations. There is that bus station at Amboy Avenue and Woodbridge that has yellow tape on it where the windows have been knocked out. So if we could get that corrected with a little stronger glass that doesn't get kicked in, as well as if we could have more bus stations on Amboy Avenue or Route 27 so our people waiting for the bus aren't out in the elements. Thank you to Joyce Sheep Friedman for your wonderful passion regarding the Human Relations Commission. We look forward to getting more members and to fulfilling your wishes. New Jersey American Water Supply is redoing their lines in a part of New Jersey. I was wondering, when they were servicing Edison, did they ever redo the lines? Did we ever hold them accountable for the services that they promised us? How are we helping our residents, our seniors, and our students in need, especially with the opioid and drug addictions? Are we planning a new community center? What are we doing with those plans? We have 3 of them. Last, where are we with the Glendale properties? We haven't heard anything. Are we moving in a direction that's going to save this valuable landmark? Thank you.
Council President,
Yeah, sure.
I'd just like to explain to Maria, you were talking about the traffic on Jackson and how it's slow. That was designed like that. Just so you know, if anybody goes back to, I think it's a planning board for Kaplan Development back there, the Camelot. They had a traffic study, and they came in and they actually stated that by building that development, they're going to slow the traffic down. It was the first time I ever heard that slowing traffic down like that was a good thing. But they did, and the development was, approved and sent through. So by design and through either planning or zoning, it was designed to be as slow as it is now.
Council President, one quick thing. Maria, the Edison Police Department is now going back into the schools. We're starting on, this is the 3rd semester there, we're starting on the vaping and the drug program within the schools, starting off with the 5th and the 6th graders. And with the school, with the road studies that we have been doing, the traffic division is working along with Jenny, I, and the school committee are working on, we're working very hard, trying to alleviate some of the problems. So I don't want you to think we're thinking on ordinances, we're thinking of resolutions, we're thinking of ways to make it safe for our children who have to walk. And some people may have to sit in traffic for 30 minutes, but we're starting to know where our major problems are and our major flow. So I want you to know that we are working on that. Thank you.
Krista?
South Edison. I'm so far in South Edison, we have to take exit 9 instead of exit 10. How you doing, Councilman Brescher? Councilman Brescher, to the chair, to Councilman Brescher, Mayor Sam Joshi, very disgusting. The lowest form of humanity. Councilman Sam Joshi did a whole post about you. And we're talking about a man, Mayor Sam Joshi, who promised during the election that he was going to do a ward system. Now he's attacking you for promoting the ward system. Crazy world we live in. Councilman Brescher, he said, you were elected just like Mayor Sam Joshi. The difference is you had, people voted for you. You didn't need the EDO support. You had your EDO support, he didn't have it. I want to let you know this. Mayor Sam Joshi said about you, Councilman, that you need to leave. You shouldn't be up there anymore. You're causing too much divide. You're dividing the town, it seems like. Isn't the mayor dividing the town when he puts out flyers like this, calling his political opponents, slandering them as neo-Nazis? You never did anything like that. Do you think that Mayor Sam Joshi should resign for being the lowest form of humanity, insulting his own residents that he's supposed to serve? Do you think he should resign, Councilman Brescher? I got another question for you. Talking about Human Relations Committee, thankfully we got Joyce here. She can't run away. We got Joyce, we got Maria, we got the lady back there. 3 people in the Human Relations Committee. Me and the rabbi have been waiting quite some time for a Human Relations Committee meeting to happen. They say they can never meet. They're unavailable to meet. Yet every time there's a council meeting or Board of Education meeting, the whole Human Relations Committee suddenly shows up. It seems to me as if somebody does not want Human Relations Committee meetings to be going on. It seems to me that the person who's chair of this committee is telling her members not to show up. That's what it seems like to me. Councilman Coyle, I've been trying to get on the committee for quite some time, have not been able to get on anything. Absolutely disgusting. How much time do I have left? 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. So, okay. 3.5 minutes to talk about how Mayor Sam Joshi calls residents and his political opponents, slanders them as neo-Nazis. Absolutely disgusting. So I missed the last meeting. The last meeting we happened to make somebody a judge. Who was this judge? Mayor Sam Joshi's sister's best friend? Are you kidding me? She's not even from America. She's from London. All right? We fought a war against these people, and Revolutionary War, and we're just going to make them a judge here in Edison, New Jersey? Absolutely disgusting. Nish Patel, it seems to me that the Edison Democratic Party didn't want you on their line. You just got on the line, maybe because you're same relations with Bimal Joshi, Sam Joshi. It doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is we have residents in this town trying to get on boards, trying to get on committees. Are you guys going to take us seriously? Or are you guys just going to cancel us out because Sam Joshi said so? Something was very telling to me in that post Sam Joshi made for you. He said that he's going to tell his council. Are these not the council of the Edison residents? He called them his council. Pointer, Patel, Margot, do you guys have a leash? Is there some kind of leash on you guys where Sam Joshi feels that you're his dogs? Because that's the way he's writing it up. It seems to me he thinks that the whole council belongs to him. He owns this council. It's very disgusting. We're talking about a dictator. I know people wouldn't allow Jerry Shee to get away with something like that. Why are we allowing Mayor Sam Joshi to get away with something like that? Councilman Joyce Ship Freeman, we're talking about bullying, talking about trolling people. Would you consider it bullying, trolling, when you call your political opponents or people you dislike an educated Christo? No? Okay. Are we going to have human relations meetings? Black History Month, we recently had a synagogue, people taken hostage. It seems to me now more than ever we need people to be united, and she just closes the meetings down. The same people that pretend they fight for social justice, when we're trying to have meetings, completely shut them down. Doesn't make any sense to me, Councilman Coyle. It seems to me that that's just their talking points. They don't believe anything they say, but they just have too much damn talking points. They're drunk with their own talking points. How much time do I have left? 32 seconds. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. I'm just going to say one thing and let me finish. I know my time's, but let me finish. When Donald Trump was president, either you liked what he had to say, you hated what he had to say, at least we could debate about it. Now that Creepy Joe's president, it's what, we're going to go on to 1 year? Well, 2 months. I don't know one damn thing he's talking about. So how can I have a discussion? How can I debate someone? I don't even know what Creepy Joe, the sex predator, is talking about. I'll go sit down.
Any other comments on the public comments? And let me go into the back. Mr. Stoschel?
Thank you, Council President. Walt Stoschel, 2118 Oak Tree Road. In 2021, the Edison Greenways Group completed a ground-penetrating radar survey of portions of the historic Piscataway Town Burial Ground and Commons on Woodbridge Avenue. The survey was funded by a grant from Middlesex County and answered some of the mysteries about the burial ground and commons and have created new mysteries to solve. The council may have seen our presentation on Edison TV in the fall, and we're now pleased to present the council with our report on the project. As you know, the Piscataway Town Burial Ground and Commons were established in 1695 as a cemetery and a public park. Both today are owned and maintained by Edison. The main results of our GPR survey were, in 1880, Dr. Hunt of Metuchen identified the southwest corner of the Piscataway Town Burial Ground as the colored burial ground. In 2021, this is a large open area with only 5 gravestones. When we did the GPR survey over it, we've identified 98 graves. And our research identified 11 of the people that are buried there. The oldest grave is from 1831, the most recent is from 1910. In the townhouse area behind
Excuse me, Mr. Stoschel, can you hold on 1 second? Christo, people respect your right to speak. Let Mr. Stoschel speak without the distraction of you talking in the back of the room, sir. If you have, you are distracting, sir, and I would ask you to take a seat. Thank you. No, it's not my opinion. I'll have you removed if I have to. Yes, I will, sir. I'm the parliamentarian.
I'm sitting here now saying that you
Please
can't
take your
remove. You're
seat,
not
sir.
doing
Please take your
interviews
seat.
during the course of this meeting.
Please take your seat, sir. You can talk to whoever you want
interviews
after
during
this,
this meeting.
after the meeting. Please take a seat. Mr. Stoschel, I'm sorry you were so rudely interrupted, sir. Please continue.
In the townhouse area behind St. James Church, no evidence of the, in the townhouse area, which is along Woodbridge Avenue, no evidence of the foundation of the colonial area townhouse was found from the 1860s. From the 1690s to 1835, there was a townhouse in that portion of the commons. The British earthworks area, we found no evidence of the earthworks or British burials. A trench was identified in this area, and as you know, from December 1777 to June 1777, the British Army occupied this area and used the commons as an encampment. The southern boundary area along the graveyard didn't show any graves outside the boundary of the graveyard. In the commons, the Piscataway Town School site, which is behind St. James Church, identified 2 foundations, which are not in the location of the 1897 to 1985 building. It may have been 3 previous schoolhouses on that site. And as a result of the study, the Edison Greenways Group makes the following recommendations. 1, an archaeological investigation of the trench and the Piscataway Town School site be conducted to determine the age of the foundation and identify potential artifacts in the trench. Edison Greenways has applied for and received a 2022 county grant to implement this study. The township should create an appropriate memorial for the colored burial ground, including the names of those identified who are buried there. The township should develop a preservation and management plan for the burial ground. This plan included doing a GPR study over the entire burial ground, gravestone restoration and fencing on the south side, and leveling of the sunken areas. The township should activate the Edison Historic Preservation Commission and task them with creating a historic district encompassing the Commons, the burial ground, and St. James Church. The township should begin the nomination process for the burial ground, Commons, and St. James Church for the National Register of Historic Places. The township should develop a plan to restore the Commons and create interpretive markers about the history of the Commons and Piscataway Town. Copies of our report are on the Edison Greenways Group website, www.edisongreenways.org, and copies have been provided to the mayor, Edison Township Library, Edison Board of Education, Rutgers, and the State Museum. Additionally, the Edison Greenways Group would like to thank the township for their support on this project, and Councilman Bob Deal for his assistance last year, and Commissioner Charlie Tamaro for his support. I have one other historical item to talk about tonight. February 14th, 2022 marks the centennial of the first woman being elected to office in Edison, which was Raritan Township 100 years ago. Before 1922, school board elections in Raritan Township were a sleepy affair, held in the middle of winter in February at only one polling place, Bonham Town School, for 1 hour. But in 1922, the Raritan Township School Board District school election would be different. The 19th Amendment made sure of this. The women of Raritan Township ran a well-organized campaign to propel a woman to victory. The election was held at the Bonham Town School on February 14th for 1 hour, beginning at 8 p.m. Nominations were called for, and 8 people were nominated, including 2 women. Mrs. Furman of Menlo Park and Mrs. Hess of Oak Tree organized touring cars and buses to get their voters to the polling place. The voters of Potters took buses to and from there to the school. Mrs. Hess visited every house in Menlo Park, and when she found out one of the buses could not make the trip, she arranged for another bus. When the polls closed, 564 people had voted. The vote counting lasted until almost midnight, and Millicent Telfer received 303 votes, the second highest vote total, and became the first woman elected to office in Raritan Township. Mrs. Ida Mae Smith received 236 votes, but did not win. And there were 4 votes, write-in votes for Mrs. Bloomfield. Millicent Telfer was born Millicent Fair in Germany, and in the 1920 census, she lived on a farm with her husband Thomas, who was a herdsman. She was active in the parent-teacher group at Oak Tree School, and an active member of the Raritan Township School Board for 2 years. She did not run for re-election in 1924. She later moved to Totowa, New Jersey, with her husband, who got a job there as farm supervisor at the North Jersey Training School, and she passed away in Frankfort, New Jersey in 1961. So on Monday, it will be the 100th anniversary of the first woman elected to any office in Raritan Township. And when you think of that, just think of from 1690s to 1922, the town was run by men. The school boards were run by men. 1922, the women got the vote in 1920. 2 years later, less than 2 years later, they organized and got the first woman on the school board. Thank you very much, and I'll leave this report up here.
Thank you, Walter Stosha, for your time you put into that. This is the public portion of the meeting here. For those who are new here, anyone that can speak about any subject they want that's Edison related. So this is not on the resolutions. If you have something to discuss, you can. We're not the Board of Ed. This is just the town council and township business, but you can speak on this particular time. From our back left-hand corner, right there. Yeah, you're in the red. I forget your first name.
Hey, I'm on TV. Thanks for your public service. Thank you for caring about Edison.
Your name and address.
I'm from Earth. I'm an earthling from interconnected with all the other species on this planet. And 23andMe, it says that you're all my cousins and family, so. But I'm from Edison, Schuyler Drive. I don't know why you need to know that. Old school stuff.
Just to be clear, sir, you do not want to give your name?
Rich Lord.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay. Do I have to give my name?
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, speech can be
That's- the
compelled.
Council has requested that people identify themselves. Are we going to bar you from speaking? No, but it's
Okay, chill.
common courtesy. Just know who we're talking to.
All right. I'm nervous because I don't speak publicly very often, but you know, we're very lucky in New Jersey. It's Black History Week or month, and we're very lucky in New Jersey. We've had a great Attorney General. We have educated people here. A lot of videos lately come about police misconduct. You don't see a lot of them here in New Jersey. We have an internal affairs process that is better than just about anywhere else in the United States. We are forward enough to pay police a good wage, and they're not going to throw away the best job they will ever have. So we're lucky, we are, but we got some problems. We do have some problems. I mean, we're not Brookside, Alabama, or Gardenia, Los Angeles. We're not Mississippi. But I've been seeing some videos lately of police in Edison escalating when they should simply ignore a troll. I mean, you see videos of people going to council meetings dressed like aliens, and the council doesn't feed the troll, don't respond to it. And I see videos of Edison police being videotaped, which is an established right. They're feeding the troll. They're getting their egos involved. So I see a man's rights on getting violated on video right outside these doors. He expressed his opinion. He was expressing his opinion on a live feed to an audience. He expressed an opinion that maybe I don't agree with, but he has a free speech right to express it. So I went to the police department to get a complaint form. And the police officer was very polite. He wanted to make sure I had the right form. He was extremely polite. He went out of his way to help me, professional, but he didn't have his body camera on. Attorney General ordered all police, and in the state of New Jersey, the Attorney General is the highest ranking law enforcement officer under our Constitution. So they're required to obey his orders. So he didn't have his body camera on. And the Attorney General says that desk duty officers are required to have their body cameras on. So I asked him, is your body camera on? He said, no, sir. And he put it on. Now, I work in a dangerous job. If I drop a tape measure from 4 stories up, I get fired. I don't like it. And I don't want this polite officer to be fired for forgetting something. But that's not why I'm here. Because the officer that was next to him said to me, you know, we don't need to wear our body cameras because everything in this lobby is being audio and videotaped. Well, that's audio and videotaping that you're not a party to is a crime in the state of New Jersey. We're a one-party consent state. So this officer just informed me that conversations that maybe the police aren't a party to are being recorded in this lobby. And then I find out through an open public records request that there was no recording happening. But why would the officer who we trust to testify in court tell me something that, tell me that? I believe that would be a lie. I don't know what he was thinking. I think a reasonable person would believe that he was lying at that moment. You know? And that's why I'm angry. That's why I'm angry, and that's why I'm here today, because did a command staff officer tell him that there was audio and video recordings of the court lobby? It's a space that's shared by the courts where lawyers go. Did a command staff officer tell that officer to tell me that they don't have to comply with the Attorney General order? But you're not going to answer me, are you?
Council President,
Yes.
I have one more question before Bill. I don't want to let him
You
get
on this subject here?
on this subject here.
Sure,
yes.
sure.
I don't want to let him go too easy without a last.
Oh, this is, we intend to be here much later, so he's.
And I've heard this statement before, that the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer. But I've read a letter from the prosecutor's office that stated that technically our police director or the head of our public safety, it was something to that effect, is the one that dictates, who we hire, fire, police policy, and that. So my question to you is, wouldn't that mean that our chief law enforcement officer here, like that letter that I seen, wouldn't they be the ones that dictate when body cams go on and when they don't?
The letter you're referring to and the point this gentleman is making, I think, are two
issues.
different points. But here's what I'm going to do, Councilman. You have a very competent counsel coming, effective tomorrow. And considering it's going to be an ongoing issue, I don't want to lock anybody else into an issue. So I'm going to defer answering that question, and I will allow incoming law director to address it for you.
Thank you, sir.
Is my time
And
up?
you appreciate
Your time's
the
up, but
answer
if you
too, don't
leave your name and number, we'll have someone from the administration contact you to have a discussion by phone.
Well, you
That can
can download the Attorney General orders, their policy itself. You can ask them that they're going to lie to you because you're the Mark, you're the Rube, you're the suckers. But you can do that yourself. And the question of whether your Attorney General is the highest ranking law enforcement officer in the state of New Jersey, that's established. They can tell you that. They can tell you that they can't disobey his orders.
Your time is up.
Have a
I'm
nice
saying
day.
You can't curse, thank you. Matt, later, offline, we'll have a discussion. Is there anybody else? First-time speaker in the left-hand corner with the red, blue tie? I'll get to you, Joe Shine. Yeah, state your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Jason Heidman, 50 Tice Boulevard, Woodcliff Lake. I represent Lidl Operations USA. They're a contract purchaser of a site on 3 Brunswick Avenue. I appreciate committee person Pointer's statement about the February 14th Planning Board meeting going forward. My client is looking forward to that hearing. Me personally, not so much, given the date. But my client does have some concerns with respect to the availability of board professionals. It's our understanding that the RFPs closed today, and RFP determinations, responses were supposed to be made today, and I was wondering if there was any information on that, whether the board professionals will be available at that meeting, or if there's a risk of another cancellation.
I'll be honest in that I'm a newcomer to the planning board, so I wasn't part of the approval process with that. I would recommend you reach out to Lillian Triola, who's the I think the official title is Planning Board Secretary. She would be able to address those questions and concerns.
Yes, we spoke to Lillian, we spoke to, I guess, the former, hopefully reappointed board attorney, Mr. Rubin, and, you know, they didn't know what was going on. So that's why I'm here tonight, because you probably don't know, but this approval occurred back in November 15th. The statutory deadline for a resolution, which has already been drafted, is been approved by board counsel. It's ready to go. We're just waiting for a meeting to have it.
Counselor, who are you missing from the board? I thought usually the professionals are all reappointed during the reorganization.
There has not, it's my understanding there has not been a reorganization meeting. We have not had a meeting.
And when is your expiration of your timeline?
It expired December 30th, so we're coming up on 45 days beyond the statutory period. That's why my client's getting a little bit nervous.
And you
There's
have not gotten a
pressure.
resolution yet?
We have a resolution drafted, ready to go. We need a meeting to have it voted on and memorialized.
Sir, it's, I'm just, to be clear, I'm not an elected official, I'm the law director, for the next, hopefully, 15 minutes. I don't really know the status of your matter, but I don't think it'd be appropriate for council to engage in a back and forth with you on this. What I would suggest to you is that you stay in touch with Lillian. She is the board secretary, and she will be able to tell you the status of the reappointment or, you know, any other issues that are open there. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, council certainly is free to ignore my advice, but I want to be clear that I don't think it's appropriate because I don't know the status of it, and I don't want someone here to say something without having the full background of it.
Thank you.
Some of us recognize the time you put into that project. I'm sure the administration can reach out, and perhaps you can follow up with Matt tomorrow and see if something is happening. I wasn't aware that they didn't have a reorg. I thought they had their reorg.
Thank you.
But let me know if perhaps tomorrow morning you can give a call to the mayor's office, and perhaps, Matt, we can have some discussion or see what boundaries we have to see where they're at to have their next meeting.
Yeah, it sounds like the planning board's having their reorganization meeting on Monday, and that's when they would act. That's what I would assume, based on what
Does
Councilman
that fit your
Pointer said,
timeline,
so.
next Monday?
Yes, and we're aware of that. We're just, our clients are getting a bit nervous.
They're just hoping that
because-
it happens.
Yes,
Okay.
we don't want another cancellation because, as you said, the deadline passed in December, and there is significant pressure for us to close. And, you know, if we can't get the resolution, we're going to have to avail ourselves of our rights of automatic approval, unfortunately, because we do want to work with the town on this. But,
Sure.
you know,
Absolutely.
we
Thanks
do
for
have some
coming.
pressures. Thank you.
Jerry Shine was next, I'm sorry.
Good evening, everybody. Jerry Shine, 18 Winthrop Road, Edison. As a 52-year resident of Edison, I really believe that the ward system will work. Just talking to residents in the south side, it seems like the representation is inadequate, and I really think a seven-member council, it's impossible to cover the square mileage of Edison. So through our great attorney, congratulations on your service, sir. How do we get through the process of petitions? I know through Suez we needed about 4,000. I'm just wondering the petition process, how many we need, what's the time frame? Petitioners, how many petitioners we're going to need so we can get this thing rolling?
Yes, sir, I'm really reluctant to give you that advice. It's really, I have another client who endeavored to help petitioners and wound up paying a pretty substantial price for it. So I'm not in a position to give you advice as to how to go about that process. You may want to contact the clerk's office in the morning, see what information may or may not be available through the clerk's office, but I don't want to tell you how many petitions you need, how many, it gets to be a very slippery slope. and basically makes me into your attorney, which I'm not.
Okay. Now, is there any council members on the board here that can answer that question?
Council President?
Yeah.
Yes, it was, they were talking about to do a special election, it's like 15%, I guess, which comes out to somewhere around 3,500 signatures. I know that people drafted a petition. It's out there. They've been waiting. I'm sure somebody's going to put something up saying, you know, let's get together for the people that are interested in this. Those signatures, I told them, I recommended that they go out and get 5,000 signatures, you know, just to make sure, because the clerk has to vet everybody. So some of the signatures won't be there. I mean, it'd be a shame if you went out and you got 3,600, you know what I mean, and 200 were gone. And, well, you know, you could have just stayed out there an extra week to get them. But I'm sure you'll probably hear something from somebody, because there's quite a few people that do have it out there.
Okay.
Hey,
And,
Joe, if you can,
excuse me, sorry.
email the clerk a formal email memo, and she'll send you the statute. But I would definitely take the advice of your attorney to interpret the statute to make sure you get enough. And speak from Mr. Brescher here, I mean, getting more is always the best. I can't speak, I don't have the experience or the legal background for that.
Now, can we to the public, can we find out who has the petitions?
Yeah, I mean, if you send me your email, I can send it to those people, and I'm sure one of them is going to contact you then.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like one person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
There's probably been 20 or 25 different people that are very, very interested in this. And that's really where the drive comes. I mean, these are the same people that asked me to kind of do this and move it forward. And so this isn't my thing. This is what the residents are asking for.
Yeah, there's a lot of residents out there that really, especially the south side, that really believes that the word system will work. Thanks. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm going to back up. Ms. Tar? Sorry, it's Ron, I'll get to you right there.
Lois Torr, 52 Reeder Road, Edison, New Jersey. I'd like to commend the council on the vote on knocking down the ward system proposal. As someone who lives in South Edison and has no one that lives in South Edison in my district or representing me, I have never had a problem, either as a former committee woman or as a resident, going to any of you 7 or any of the previous 7 council members and pleading my case and getting results. I'd rather plead my case to 7 than to 1. So again, I applaud you. And I would hope that if a petition is going around, that the council gets out a comparison of the 2 systems, of the ward system and the council system, so that the people of Edison actually know what they're signing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Council President?
Ron?
Oh, Council President, I'd just like to just say to Ms. Tar, as far as getting the information, getting the signatures is really for people that believe in this already. It's not about the education process.
Yes.
Once it gets, if they do get the petition, they do get the 5,000 votes, right? I believe at that time, then the council should be involved at that time to explain what the ward is all about. Until that point of a petition that is verified, right, and certified, it's just a conversation. So if the people...
But Mr. Brescher, you would rather have people not know what they're signing and not be educated onto what they're signing than to let them know up front? That's what you're saying.
No,
Yes, you are.
No, what I'm
You're saying,
saying...
sign the petition and then we'll tell you about it. Not let me tell you about the facts of the government and then sign the petition.
No, that's not what I said. I said that the people are the people petitioners that are signing it are the people that are well-versed as to what it's about.
Council President?
I mean, that was like a twist on my words, Mrs. Tar, and I don't play that really. All right, so let's be honest here. Have you had issues? Yes, I've heard you had issues. Will you have other council people? Yes. guess what? You get a ward council person and you still end up with at-large council people. So what you say shows that you are not aware of what a ward system is. So what I'm saying is those people are not going to come out here to educate you on it because you're not sold on it. You don't feel a need for it. And that is your right to do that. Okay? But it is their right to get a petition and for them to speak to the people that do know about it. And once that's done, then it's this council's job to explain to the public what both of these items are and how they affect them. And in that aspect, you are correct, but not until it becomes something.
It doesn't make any sense to me as a former teacher to tell children to sign something that they don't know what they're signing about.
Council President, I
Yeah,
agree with her
Council-
100%.
Chris.
I believe that you have to educate people. You don't give people a paper and say, sign it, and I'll tell you what it happens later.
That
That's
wasn't-
not fair.
that was-
And listen, and we're not gonna argue, we're not gonna debate this anymore, because this is the public section. Excuse me, I have the floor. Stop being disrespectful. What I'm saying, Ms. Starr, is you're absolutely correct, and you don't give your students a test before you give them the information. You don't have them sign papers just to sign them, and then say, I'll tell you what it is later. I commend you for that. Thank you.
Council President, I'd like a
That's it.
rebuttal on the Council Vice President. Basically, what she is accusing people of here is, well, forcing something down someone's throat. Obviously, in my mind, Ms. Tarr and my council colleague do not understand the ward system. I don't expect them to sign the petition. If they become educated, I'm sure they will. But currently, they don't understand.
We're
And-
both educated, so I think you know more
I
than
am not-
everybody. That's the end of my topic. I'm not discussing it anymore.
Council
And don't
Vice
use,
President, you
excuse
know
me, sir.
Robert's rules.
Don't
Council
be
President, can you
disrespectful,
contain
because
order
don't
in this
tell me
meeting?
I don't
Have
understand
order here,
something.
please, point of order.
Please,
Rich.
point of order.
Rich, just Madam
Council
Clerk, can you
President.
just clarify what the process is so we can what people would be signing if something comes together?
Well, currently, there's a petition that would put it on a ballot. The public would have to go out and get a minimum of 3,500 signatures. I would say 5,000 signatures. At that point, they would turn that into the clerk to be verified. At that point, it would be on the ballot. And that's where I'm saying that's then this council's responsibility to educate the public. Before that, this is a conversation happening between the people, and the people are educating themselves on it. There's a lot of people out there that are well-versed in this, and that conversation is between them. And if you don't want to vote for it, if you don't know about it, then you don't sign the form. Just like the guy when he comes to your house to sell you whatever it might be, solar power, whatever it is. You don't understand it, you don't sign it. So it's not like people are going out to coerce people like is been assumed here, okay? And that's what I find offensive.
Don't assume.
Because Joyce said that we're going to go out and force this on people. And that is so far from the truth.
I did not
is
say
a-
that.
That is a lie.
Well,
So-
you're making up stuff that I said. I never said that. I always stand by, and I always will stand by, no matter what it is, to educate people. And maybe if you're against education, I'm not. Maybe that's the way I was raised up. Education is always first. And if you don't like the fact that I think that people should be educated, not just on the ward, I think people should be educated on every part of their life so they can understand, so they can make a good decision for themselves. And that's what people do. When they go into surgery, they go any place they go, you must become educated first before you move on.
Okay, Council President, I'm going to just say this in closing because obviously this is like speaking to the wall. And I mean this respectfully. What's happening here, okay, is people making accusations, people talking about educating the public. Two people spoke now. Both of those people are educators. Both of those people should be out there to the public educating them. okay? One is a council vice president. That's her job to explain it to the public. So she should be out there. She is 100% right. What I'm saying is that when the public does this, and the public does a petition, right, that comes to us. And to me, at that time is the time that we should educate the entire public on it. I think that's our duty. Right now, it's just a thought. So to go through a process of explaining this to the public, if there's people like Mrs. Tarr, she's free to walk around her neighborhood and explain it to her neighbors. Joy Shipp actually wanted to be a committee person. So since she wants to be a committee person, I would say she should go walk her district and explain it to all her people. And at the end of the day, who's ever out there doing a petition will explain it to those people. But, you know, how we're supposed to sit up here and have a debate on something that may or may not happen in the future makes no sense to me, Council President. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do you want to walk us through a petition and what states on the petition if this was to come together? What's the normal?
I would strongly recommend not doing that,
Okay,
Council
no problem. All right,
President.
fine.
Yeah.
Leave it as is.
I could tell you that.
Well, it's,
Can we get to the public
depends on which
portion, please? There
statute
are people
the-
waiting for their turn.
okay. We're going to move to the next speaker.
Yeah, okay.
Let's move to the next speaker. Ron Leffler.
Hi, good evening. Ron Loeffler, 6 Nancy Circle. I'd like to talk about something that's come up a number of times, implementing hybrid council meetings. In the world before COVID, we probably would not have entertained proposing a meeting venue like Zoom, but due to COVID, this has all changed. I believe we as a society have had some positive things come from COVID. We were reminded that necessity is the mother of invention when schools shifted to remote learning and workplaces switched to remote with no time to prepare. Through this time, we all became experts in attending Zoom meetings as well as some virtual happy hours with our friends. We had virtual council meetings during this time also, and the meetings were productive and successful. These meetings can have more community involvement, which is a net positive for the residents and local government. Speaking for myself, I had never been to a council meeting for 2 decades prior. I was uninvolved and disconnected from the heartbeat of Edison. When I became involved, I was excited to be part of the process and how this government functions. The virtual meetings for me were a great way to get involved. Speaking to neighbors, I realized it was also a great way for them to become involved and stay connected. Homebound residents were able to participate in the meetings. Disabled residents participated. Residents who are caregivers or have kids eating dinner or helping with homework are able to participate as well. This participation is vital to the healthy discourse in the community and a great way to continue to unify the town. So I ask that you put this on the agenda for an upcoming meeting without any reservations. Additionally, I ask that the Planning Board and Zoning Board meetings be live streamed at a minimum, if not hybrid as well. At the moment, they are only available live in Town Hall or able to be viewed 24 hours later on Edison TV. Lastly, earlier this week, I attended a hybrid Middlesex County Planning Board and Open Space meeting. Starting on March 1st, 2022, the county will be switching to something called an e-file or electronic filing system, where planning board applications, site plans, and related documents will be uploaded into the system. This would make for more transparency for planning board applications and greater advance notice and preparedness for the residents. I think it would be a good idea for Edison to follow the county's lead and implement this process as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Council President?
Sure.
Council President? Ron, thank you very much for raising this issue. Since I spoke about this in my introductory speech, I've been getting a lot of feedback from people who are very much interested in adopting live stream interactive meetings. And this is not just a COVID situation. This is a situation that affects senior citizens, people who don't drive at night, who can't get here, but they that they still have something to contribute. And so I would ask the attorney if we could draw up a resolution to introduce or reintroduce live stream meetings to the various venues that Ron has spoken about, which would be council, zoning, and planning boards.
I'll be happy to carry that message to Mr. Ranone, and he can take care of it for you
Give it
tomorrow.
to Ranone.
Oh, come on, you're still here, come on.
I can't draft it sitting here. If I could, just, and it's not a policy decision, but I'm sorry, I'm not in a position to make policy decisions. I would just give you one word of caution. Live streaming so people can see what's going on is one thing. Two-way participation, I have seen end in litigation already in the 2 years we've been doing this. The problem is there's 1 million people on the screen and you miss somebody, they can claim that they had no ability to be heard, and therefore what you're doing is
Christo, please. Okay.
so it's a cautionary tale. The benefit may outweigh that detriment. I want to at least just bring that to your attention. But I will, yeah.
Any other comments, Ms. Harris?
I'm wondering, Eddie, do you have anything to add from your point of view?
From a technical standpoint, council is correct that sometimes people may be ignored, not on purpose, but it can happen. So that is a problem.
From a technical standpoint, in the big picture,
He has to have a microphone if he's going to be interviewed. Sorry.
Oh. From a technical standpoint.
From a technical standpoint, yes. The council is correct that sometimes inadvertently someone may be ignored, and that could be construed as done on purpose, but that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you hear a voice, the person may think that they're being ignored, and it's not the case. So yes, there are technical issues with doing this. Virtual meetings are not perfect by any means, but some towns do it with varying degrees of results.
Can I ask a question about that? Is there a way to just add a telephone number, right? So when you click on to do the on Zoom, it says if you have a problem, you can call.
Every town has a different procedure. For example, sometimes some towns may only put the last 3 numbers of someone's phone number on the screen. That way, their phone number is not given out. Every town.
No, I'm talking about like the people that are saying, so that like let's say that Elizabeth's on the Zoom and she can't be seen or heard, that she could call a technical number so that then she can't claim that she wasn't heard.
It's an option, but
And
as I said, there's so many considerations with this. It's not. We don't have the setup for this, for a virtual hybrid meeting at the moment. We don't have that. And when we've tried to do virtual hybrid meetings, we've had some technical difficulties. We don't have that type of setup yet. I mean, if you'd like to look into it, yes, there are options. Right now, we don't have the ability. If you wanted to do this right now, today, it wouldn't work. Am I correct, Marlena?
Thank you, Ed.
Council President, can we explore that option? Eddie, if we can come up with a plan saying what it will take for us to get there and explain this council, if there is any approval required. I think this council, again, I can't talk about everyone, but if you can come up with saying, I need X, Y, Z to achieve this goal, I think the council will be considerate. Right, Council President?
I will be happy to pass on the information that I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Okay, hold up, radio. We didn't have Ms. Conway. Sorry, Chris, you can come to the end, right? I see her. I guess you're in the back.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle. Just to piggyback on what you were talking about, at the Board of Education meetings, They are live streamed, but the people can be at home watching, and if they feel strongly about something, they jump in their car and come. At the last board meeting, it started out with maybe 5 or 6 people, and by 8:30, there had to be 100 people in the auditorium. So if they watch the regular live stream without hybrid, they can see everything that's going on, and if it's something that they feel strongly about, they can either come or send in information to you. So that might be a happy medium, because I can see how hybrid is a headache in more ways than one. So that's just a suggestion.
Council President, may I respond? That's great for those people who can hop in their cars and get there, but what I'm actually addressing more than anything else are people who don't drive at night.
Well, that's what some people actually came, and they were asked, oh, could you forward this I'm just giving you information. I understand, but I also have seen the difficulties. But the reason I came up is I did bring up during the resolutions about another area being looked at for redevelopment, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up each meeting, that the master plan. As we look at each different section of town, I'm sure there's 20 other sections of town that need to be looked at, and I think putting the master plan into motion would be a very good thing for this council to at least begin the process. And as far as my third thing, as far as the ward system, I grew up with the ward system in Hoboken. Not only did I deal with the gentleman that was in my ward, but I could speak to any council person. They never turned me down as far as, oh no, you're in so-and-so's ward, I won't talk to you. I don't think there's a good or perfect way of doing it. I mean, the Board of Education used to be appointed, so they switched to elected, and nothing's going to be perfect, but the only thing that I'm understanding, and I don't know all the specifics, is if you go and get your petition and 5,000 people sign it, that doesn't put it into law. 5,000 people only want it to go on to the vote in November or the following November, or how long it takes. Is that correct?
Yes.
So between the time that the petition gets verified and the people get a chance to vote, I would think, I would never assume, I would think that at that point, you would educate me as to the pros and cons of going either way. So I could listen to the person that really wants it and why, and I could listen to the person that doesn't think it's a good idea. And at that point, I would make my decision as to what I think is correct for me, and then I would go to the voting booth. Am I getting that? Is that?
That was my thought.
I'm hoping for that process to be, and whatever turns out, is what I'm asking. But the reason I came is, please start thinking about the master plan. And I'm sure there's plenty of parts of town that need to be looked at and adjusted. Thank you.
I was going to ask you, do you think the elected board is better than the appointed board? Because I was here for the appointed board.
They're both awful.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. What you wish for might be just as awful.
They, it's the pros and cons of everything. It's politics regardless.
Yes.
And it's the people that get voted in, whether you're appointed or you're elected, it's
You have to
the
get voted in.
person. If you're going to do your job, I don't care whether you were elected or you were appointed. Just do your job. That's all I ask for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conway. In the back, please. No, wait. No, please, come on, Laura. Lori Jordan.
My name. Hi, Lori Jordan, Gulf Road. I'd like to know the status of the zoning board appointments, please.
At this time, we're waiting for more applications. I'm sorry, I had a death in my family, and we're going to try to do this by the end of the month.
What happens on February 15th, next Tuesday, when Markham comes to the zoning board?
Well, I believe they have enough members. They have their alternate also is a voting member.
So on one of the most consequential zoning board meetings, we're going to have a alternate that may not be asked to do any work for the rest of the year to listen to a huge development and talk about a D variance. We're just going to go with the B team.
He's been attending every meeting, from what I understand. He's been on there for about, Councilman Patil, how long has he been on there? A year or two?
I believe it's 2 years.
2 years
Close
he's
to
been
2
here
years.
to multiple applications.
So with the two new people, I mean, are they going to be up to speed on this project and look at all the information by Tuesday? Is it going to be a meeting that we feel good about, that the zoning board is totally up to speed?
I believe that's the responsibility of the chairperson to educate the members.
It's disappointing that the established people aren't going to be there, because if this, continues on, I'm sorry about
This
the
is the
death in your...
process. I don't, for decades, we reappoint in January, February, and that's just the process. I don't know, I haven't heard of anything different that can be done to satisfy your question.
Okay. So you're still accepting applications?
Yes,
Is there a deadline for that? Because I've had questions about that.
I'd have to speak to the clerk about that.
Okay. I do want to support what Ron was talking about with hybrid meetings. I would think that the more residents that are involved in every aspect of Edison, the better. So that's great that you're going to pursue that, because speaking about not driving at night, that Zoom meeting that we had for the zoning board back in June was extremely well attended, and I think that means a lot when more people can get involved and make comments about issues they feel strongly about. And the last thing I'll say, just regarding the ward system, it's disappointing to hear the bickering about this topic. You can have opinions and everything, but I also think it's disingenuous to say that it's going to be divisive. Woodbridge has it, South Plainfield has it, Jersey City, Newark, Clark, Monroe. These are the only ones I can remember off the top of my head. So it's just another form of government. It's not a big bad thing. So by scaring residents and saying it's going to be divisive and it's going to be neighborhood against neighborhood, I think is really a really negative way to talk about this. So I would hope that if this conversation continues in the future, that it's not us against them, north against south, that it's looked at as just a different form of government or different structure that some residents are really interested in. And with the mayor making a Facebook post last night, it got over 200 comments in a very short period of time. So people are interested in this. And where it goes, we don't know, but I don't think it should be talked about in such a scary, bad way. Woodbridge is doing great. South Plainfield's doing great. Jersey City is thriving. The ward system can't be that bad, right? So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. In the back.
Thank you, Council.
I'm sorry,
Nick
your questions weren't answered before, and if you want to ask them again for the engineering, I apologize. We didn't do that during the.
I appreciate it if you could.
If you heard enough,
or
that's fine. I'm not sure if you.
I don't know that the whole public needs to know. I can find out afterwards.
You find-
if
fine,
somebody will
afterwards,
stick around.
that'd be
and
fine.
I would appreciate
Matt
it.
will
Thank
be
you.
here. No problem.
Thanks for remembering
I
that.
apologize.
No, that's okay. Nick Fagan again, Edgewood Lane. I have 3 things to talk about today. I'm disappointed that the ward system failed even getting to the agenda so that we could even get to a debate about its merits and that we could even talk about merits, and we, unfortunately, the majority used their majority to shut down debate before it even started. So it'll be up to the residents to take this forward and get the signatures and take it forward. And I'm very positive that the residents will be able to go ahead and do that. And then we can have the actual debate for an election, and we'll educate, and we'll have a fair and free election, and the citizens will make the decision. So, in terms of the remote, I thank you for bringing it up again. There's 30 people, I think, right now watching the YouTube today-ish. It goes up and down. So there are definitely people that are on, because we're not on Facebook right now, I believe, right? So they've been asking me, are you physically there? Are we on Facebook? And we said, no, we're on YouTube. So there is demand out there in the town. There are people watching us today, and they would like to participate. And I get it, there's stuff that needs to be worked out, but at least for zoning and planning, we need to be able to have those live streamed. Sir, when you say that we don't have the infrastructure, I don't know, I'm confused, because in June, when we had planning board and zoning board telephonically, we did have that infrastructure set up. So we have that available to us. We've demonstrated that we can do it before. So. If the chair wants to recognize.
And
Through the chair.
I'd prefer to not
Okay.
get into, only because we need a healthy professional discussion, and I leave the administration, that up to the administration.
Yep. So I just appreciate you continuing to talk about it, and I would urge you to definitely get that live streaming at least going. And then the last piece is not so much for the council, because you guys will serve as the appellate court if we lose, but for the residents of Edison and for the folks here in the audience, the zoning board is meeting next Tuesday, the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day, at 7 p.m. here, right here. And we'll be considering a proposal from Markham Developers to develop 222 Plainfield Avenue, which is Charlie Brown's restaurant, if you know it. It's right by the Metuchen Golf Club. And it's a 2-acre site, and they're considering 23 townhomes on this site. I'm a neighbor of this site, within 200 feet of it, and there's many other folks from around town within 200 feet and then outside of 200 feet. But we really believe that this is overdevelopment for the town, and it is unfitting in the neighborhood, and we really would like your support. If you could come out to the meeting and tell the zoning board that you don't want this, that's the way that we change actions in this town, and we get less traffic and less development. We do appreciate and support, we appreciate the mayor's support, the mayor's public comments of support. And Mr. Sam Joshi has actually said in the Home News Tribune last week, I do not support the 23 townhomes being built at this location. It does not suit my administration's long-term vision of the town. So we really support the mayor in his public comments on this, and we hope to convince the board that it is an intensive use and it should be just denied out of zoning board outright. But if that doesn't happen, we will avail ourselves of every relief possible, which means we'll come to you. So we hope that we can just get it done at zoning board, but we need your help in Edison. We need your help, the citizens, to come out and come speak and tell the zoning board members why you believe this is overdevelopment. Thank you.
Nick, there's a gray line on what council members can do, and I just, for the safe point to you, and I'm not an attorney, but I've heard in the past, when council members speak out against an action that you are in opposition to, if it comes back to this council, that member may not be able to vote and have to recuse themselves. So you're hindering your next opportunity during the appeal. I don't want to speak as a professional, but I've seen this in my 30 years watching council meetings. So
Council President?
I want to at least make you aware of that. Go ahead.
I would like to, I would like to get an answer from our new attorney, maybe by tomorrow morning. I don't think it's a complicated question. It came up with council people being able to speak. I know certain council people might have been told that they can't speak. Okay, so I know someone was. But then when I questioned the board attorney, and I said that, you know, I'm a human being, I'm a resident of Edison, I should have a right to go watch a meeting, I should have a right to partake in a meeting, right? And I was told that there could be, like you just mentioned, right, a conflict where I can't vote. So I pressed harder on that. And I said, well, what would preclude me from doing it? They said, well, if you didn't watch the entire meeting. I said, but I was there for the whole meeting. So, you know, if it ever came to the council, right, and I was at those meetings, I would be more informed than any other council colleague who was not at those meetings. So I'm looking for a legal definition that somebody can tell me that I would have to recuse myself, is what I'm looking for from our legal, that's going to tell me that I ultimately cannot. I don't want to hear, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. I'm looking for like a concrete legal, you know, statement on it. Like, has it
Councilman-
went to a Supreme Court or something? You know, and
Councilmember
it's
Brescher, we
established.
could, Matt, when we get the new attorney on, can we have a separate conversation with Mr. Brescher about that subject? No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, I appreciate you. Thank you, and message received. You are the appellate court, and we are not looking for you to tip your hand ahead of time. We're just looking for the residents to come support us and say no, and make sure that they make their voices heard at the zoning board, which is the first place they need to go.
I was only referring to council members. They can choose to do what they.
Yeah. And we would rather you not tip your hand early. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members? Any rebuttals? Crystal, you have a rebuttal? Can you state your rebuttal as a professional courtesy?
What do you mean?
If you have a rebuttal, what is your rebuttal?
A standard operating procedure to just tell someone before they're.
I just asked for professional courtesy.
No, sir, but it is standard operating procedure that you've been allowed to speak for 9 minutes instead of 6 minutes, and so we'd like to know what your rebuttal is, so we can figure out whether or not your comments will be entertained.
Don't start my time.
Mr.
Excuse me, 9 minutes? Where's this 9 minutes coming from?
The 6 and then the 3 that you're trying to get now.
Just
Do other people get treated that way when they come up to do a rebuttal? I just don't understand. Why are you discriminating against me? Do you ask any?
First time.
Are you going to start my time?
Crystal, I understand your point. Just continue. Let's sack that subject.
You understand?
I understand,
That I proved
yes.
the point that you discriminate against me. Thank you.
No, I did.
So
Listen, you're
you
fine.
did. So when we talk about education, those who talk about education do not know education. They know indoctrination, and they present that as education. So we got NJEA people. We got other so-called educators who are so educated that they don't even know Robert's Rules of Order, that you can't interrupt other people speaking or another council person. I just find it, who else was an educator? Wasn't it the zero integrity, the past council president we had, Bob Deal, who failed to defend my civil rights, where everyone up here allowed a heckler's veto? You're not allowed to give the crowd a veto power over you, but it wasn't just the crowd, it was Sam Joshi's administration, Paresh Joshi, and whatever. So these so-called educators, where are you educators when it's time to defend our civil rights? You're nowhere to be found. In regards to the body camera, now my rebuttal is about the body camera. Attorney General Guideline 2021-5 says anytime you have interaction with the public, you're supposed to have it on. The problem we have here in Edison, Councilman Brescher, is certain people take it upon themselves. It's clear as day. You have interaction, you turn it on. What do? They start redefining words. So according to and I've heard lower level officers say, so they're being told from the command staff, they say, as long as your body camera is on, not running on, meaning on standby mode, not recording. And they're taking that loophole to completely not do what the Attorney General states them to do. So you understand what I'm saying, Askelson, right? The Attorney General says when you have interaction with the public, you turn your body camera on. It's clear as day. But the command staff are now telling the lower level people, it's okay. It's I forgot that word that you guys are using. There's a word. I'll go back in my tapes. But you guys are taking the standby mode that doesn't record, and they just do whatever the hell they want to do. They reinterpret the law. Who has to follow the law if you have people like Northgrave or command staff that they redefine words, they go what they think it means, rather than follow the letter of the law or the spirit of how it was written. How much time do I have left, Marlena? 6 seconds. God bless America. God bless Donald J. Trump.
Any other public comments? One more.
Make a motion.
Is this a rebuttal?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's about the body cam.
He just stated.
In respect to this committee and other people, I will.
The question.
First of all, before I said you were, I didn't say you were a sucker or a rube.
No, I just can't allow cursing. You can say what you want to me. I just,
Or-
if I
but
let you,
I
if I
said-
let you, then I'm other people.
I don't think you
I just have to
are.
correct it. No, it's not a problem.
Okay, so I apologize if that's where I came. So, and I have a right to an orderly public meeting. I have a right to sit in the back of this room and have silence and not have people inside conversations and the disturbance of this public meeting. It's not okay for me not to be able to listen while people are having conversations in the back. It's not okay. The lawyer is right. I have a right. We have a right to good, orderly government. And if the question on the body cameras, you can look at the Attorney General guidelines on the Attorney General site and educate yourself, because as Americans and as adults, we are responsible to educate ourselves so we can be the stewards of democracy, so we can run this country. It's my responsibility. Thomas Paine says where knowledge is duty, ignorance is criminal. I think he said that. I might be misquoting him. It's my responsibility. If I'm going to say something about body cameras, it better be right. You know? And it's here. And they did not obey the policy. And what I was saying about you guys being suckers, I was saying gaslighting, command staffs who gaslight, who tell half-truths, who PR their way around the truth, who try and sleaze around the law with gaslighting. You know, psychopaths, criminals, con artists, they're very charming. They're very charming, and they will gaslight the best of you. So you have command staffs not obeying the law, not obeying body camera policy. You have a person in the records department getting a public record. You have command staff taking a fighting stance with the man trying to do a public records request in the public records police station lobby. The guy was...
Yeah. Your time is up, but to answer your question, Matt, can we, look at the directive that's been set in the past and resend that to the patrol? There's been a directive, I think, in the past, as a reminder. If the chief wants to say something, you're welcome, but that's fine with me. I'm sure there's been a directive sent out. We'll resend it. Sure.
Okay, the Attorney General directive has been updated this year. Our policy reflects the latest updates that came out. We've recently updated to be in compliance with the Attorney General. We're expanding our 130 approximately body cameras to 182 so that every officer will.
Chief, have a seat.
So if there's any type of investigation, which I don't know about, I can't speak to anything that might or might not be happening in your situation, but we are compliant. We do follow the Attorney General, and we've just updated our policy to reflect the latest updates, within the last 2 weeks, I believe it was, at the beginning of the year. And we're expanding our fleet cameras with Axon, which is one of the best body camera companies out there. And I think right now, I don't know the exact number, but we've been, we were leading in body cameras in the county. We've had them for 5 years. And the last time I checked, I think we had 76,000 recordings that go on the cloud. And you have to understand that the recordings after 6 months, most of them will, in compliance with the Attorney General, if there's nothing tagging on those videos, they will be overwritten. But we've maintained over 5 years between 70 and 80,000. So we probably have several 100,000 cameras. So it's pretty extensive, the amount of recordings of our interactions with the public. I'm not sure what was said before as far as every interaction, but I just pulled the latest Attorney General policy up, and they've specified certain circumstances. It's not every circumstance. Can't speak further on it. You can deal, if you have an IA complaint, you'll.
Yeah, I'm speaking of this.
So I can't address that, but there are specific instances, and our policy reflects that. But it's not every interaction. Our officers don't have to have their cameras on for every action. But we're in full compliance, and we do respect both the prosecutor and the Attorney General as part of our chain of command. That's pretty much all I have to say on that.
Thank you for your word salad, but that didn't address the question I asked about that specific situation.
So if there's an ongoing investigation, obviously I can't talk about it. So that through, because that's gonna go through proper procedures, and you'll get your answer when you talk to, if it's an IA matter, that'll be followed up on.
James,
I can't discuss that. We're not going to hold the court here at the council meeting. So that's all I have to say on it. Thank you.
James Baldwin said, I can't believe what you say because I see what you do.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to close the public portion.
Okay, no problem.
I would like
Just
to make
any
a
other-
motion to close
any
the
other-
public portion.
1 second. Is there any other members that want to speak? Any members of the public?
I'd like to make a
entertain
motion for
to close.
adjournment.
Christo, you can't speak at the same time. Just wait 1 moment. Can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion?
Yes.
Motion by Ship, and can I have a second?
Yeah, Council President, before
Nish
you
seconded.
move the motion to
Nish seconded.
adjourn, we, Vice President did.
We're just closing the public portion. I'm sorry.
Vice President did motion, and I think.
Second. And all in
Councilman-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And
Yeah, before you.
public,
Motion for adjour-
the public portion is
adjournment?
closed. Some council
Yes.
members have to make some comments. The public portion is now closed.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, our Councilwoman Margot Harris, for, giving this to every single council person.
Nice.
Again, thank you for reminding the Valentine Day.
Are there any council members that want to make any comments? Okay, seeing none, motion to close,
For adjournment?
motion to adjourn,
Seconded.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.